Yay! What's happening, guys? All right. Not that many people here. It's Saturday for obviously, because probably not going to be too many people like in the crowd tonight. But what's happening? Welcome to the Patreon stream that I try to do once a month and talk to the patrons, anybody who supports the channel over on the Patreon, which I try to give extra goodies over there, some exclusive stuff that I hear I usually put over there before I talk about it on Film Junkie Live. Try to do like every other week. I do an exclusive podcast over there, on Tuesdays when I don't do Film Junkie Live, and I get a little bit more, ranty, get a little bit more, I don't hold back as yet like I do with the live shows. But so yeah, just doing this tonight. I had a free Saturday, which they have not been. That's not been easy for me lately. It's just always seems like I'm doing things on Saturday. And the last couple of times we did these Patreon streams, it was on Sundays. And I know sometimes that can be hard for people. So we'll see who shows up. I already posted the link. So anybody, like I said, I posted the link in the chat if you want to join. If anybody right here wants to subscribe, support, and then come on and talk for a little bit, let's do it. And anybody who's out there that is a patron, I already posted the link. Let's see, Josh. Hey, how's it going? Okay, like the new time. Good. I think, yeah, it's definitely going to be the time. And I like the fact it was weird. It was very strange to end a 4-hour vodka stream, and it was 11 o'clock at night. That was very strange. Yeah, it was like interesting. It was about 4 hours and 16 minutes, but it was very like, what? This is like, really? We're actually ending right now? This is so weird. And so then I was able to just like, drink some water, sober up, and just kind of like, not just go to my bed and crash. So at least, there was that. So I'm actually liking the new time. Hello, Les Carpenter. What's going on? We got Mr. Fear Jason here too. So, but yeah, I think I definitely digging the new time. I think that's it's a good time right there. So, but anyways, hopefully you guys had a good Saturday. Mine was I try to be productive today, but it didn't happen, of course. Never does. You always go like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this and this and this. I probably did about a third of what I wanted to do today. So, but hey, what can you do? It's fine. Watch some baseball, relax a little bit. I watched that Legion of Superheroes animated film on HBO Max. That was pretty good. It was all right. It was interesting. Some interesting things happened in there, of course. But so I watched that today, and yeah, and just kind of did a short because all of a sudden we got this, which I guess we'll talk about a little bit. I'll talk about it more, of course, on Monday's Film Junkie Live, because I'm sure more things will be coming about when it comes to casting of Superman and Lois, when it comes to Superman Legacy. So yeah, that was all happening today. Good old Hollywood Reporter. All right, let's see. We've already got somebody backstage. Like I said, if you guys want to join, support, link is provided, it's pinned and everything. So if you want to do that, come on and chat for a little bit. It's fine. It's fine. We'll see how many people show up. But first off, we got Eric joining right now. What's going on, sir?
Hey, how you doing, man? Thought I'd give this guy a more proper introduction than last time, where he just showed up in the last one. R7D6, everybody.
Nice. It almost looked like you were drinking out of it, because it looks like there's a straw coming out of his head.
I don't know. I mean, of all the different options they have at Galaxy's Edge, of little additions you can add on to your droid, there was a little tray, like how R2 has in the beginning of Return of the Jedi, remember? But I was like, nah, I'm going to go just bring some gadgets and stuff, like a blaster right here. Yeah. Cool stuff.
I like the patriotic colors you put in that too. So.
Yeah, exactly. Hence R7D6.
Makes sense. All right. We also got Phil joining, and we got RJ. What's going on, guys?
Hey. What's up?
Not much. How's your guys' Saturday going?
I've been in front of my Switch playing Tears of the Kingdom.
That's pretty much been my day too. I've been playing that game for about 10 hours straight today. So
you guys needed a little break.
Yes.
Come on and
this
chat
is my
for
break.
A little bit.
I took a break. I went and got some groceries and stuff earlier.
Yeah.
I feel like I was we were just talking yesterday. Deja vu.
I know. It kind of feels like that, doesn't it, Phil?
Doesn't
right?
it? A little bit.
All right, now drink wise. Now drink wise. I've got
What do you got for drink?
specifically Clan McGregor, Scotch and soda right here.
Nice. Cheers. What do you guys? Do you guys drink anything? RJ, you don't really drink, do you?
No, I don't. No.
Yeah, you're not a drinker. And,
Yeah.
Not much of a drinker.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's like an what is
Arizona.
Oh yeah, Arizona. Oh, you found them, man. Remember when we
Yeah.
couldn't find those damn things?
Oh,
Over
I
in,
was so
Pasadena?
mad.
Yeah,
I had to settle for Gatorade.
that was very strange. I never would have thought that Target was going to have Arizona iced tea. Yeah,
Oh.
on that Friday we had to we were trying to find Arizona iced tea at Target and no go.
Well,
Interesting.
I didn't think that would be surprising. I mean, obviously Walmart sells Arizona all the time, but
No, I just would have thought Target too. I mean, it was a big Target. It had a grocery section, so.
yeah, exactly.
Sad.
Anyway, the other thing consumption wise, I told everybody I might have a little something. In this case,
Oh, boy.
finally, I've been meaning to do this for Patreon stream after Patreon stream ever since they announced it. But Big New Yorker, everybody.
We still have it going, huh?
Yeah, they do. I mean, I heard that they might be shelving it a little bit to focus more on the Philly cheesesteak. But honestly, look, it's great to have it back. Look, obviously, 90s kids like me, we look at this with a lot of nostalgia. So it was great to have it back. Like I pretty much know the original commercials for it by heart. Like it's so big, it's got 3 zip codes. You need to find a roadmap to find your way.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, all the good stuff. Yeah. But anyway, I thought, just for, my little reputation needs to be maintained on the stream. Ladies and gentlemen, I decided to do some extra cheese and extra pineapple.
Yeah.
No.
That's
Okay.
nice.
Yeah. I mean, you're not who else is a pineapple person here? Anybody?
Oh, yeah.
No.
I mean, I can eat it. I mean, I don't mind it. I don't hate it, but
I'm usually
the
good.
only way pineapple works is if you mix it with ham. That's it. That's the only way that flavor works.
Oh, yeah, because you get the Canadian bacon on there too, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. You're gonna get a big New Yorker. You're gonna throw some freaking pineapple on there, Eric. Come on. It's a big New Yorker. They don't put that shit on there.
I know, but usually, the standard Big New Yorker is double pepperoni, and there's regular pepperoni, and on top of it's got the old fashioned kind of cup shape and all that. And I got that a lot, but I decided, you know what? It's the Patreon stream. I show up nuts, so let's get nuts.
Let's get nuts.
Well, I was going to say, I didn't think we were going to have much to talk about because it's been kind of a light news week with the writer's strike and everything. Then
It kinda, yeah.
HR comes out, it's like, oh, okay, there we go.
Well, I figured I had a free Saturday, and usually I try to do these on Saturdays. So I was like, you know what? Why not? Just fire it up. Let's do it. We'll talk a little. I mean, obviously, yeah, it was a slow news. Even though today, we got some news, which was
Kind of came out of nowhere.
interesting rumors. When it comes to casting for Superman Legacy. Did you guys catch all that?
I did.
I did, yeah. Well, the funny thing was that there was conflicting reports, but now
Yep.
headline was in the wrap were coming out saying no, it's this and this, but then it turns out actually no, Hollywood Reporter is the one who got it correct. So
I'm just going to go ahead and say that of all the people who were trying to play the game today, if anyone's to follow, it's Justin Kroll. Dude was the one who Justin Kroll was the one who basically followed the Robert Pattinson Batman casting. He got it on the spot. If there's anyone to follow in regards to casting, it's Justin Kroll. I think he's Deadline, but he was Variety for the longest time.
he was, yeah.
It
I
could
mean,
be one of
I
those.
don't trust
I don't
Umberto though. That's for sure.
I don't
Because
know.
he got into trouble this week for spoiling the Fast X post-credit scene, which I won't say what it is, but everyone's already covered
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah.
I know.
Okay, well then, if he was right about Pattinson, who is he saying for Superman then?
It wasn't necessarily who is
Just the
it's
two.
who is in the running, and it's between
okay.
and Nicholas Holt.
Yeah. Well, I gotta say, Nicholas Holt. Look, he's a good actor, I'm sure, but I don't know. He doesn't have the chin. I mean, that's probably why he was turned down for Batman, because he doesn't have the chin. So I gotta say,
That's why I said, based on the information that's now coming out, it seems like Hollywood Reporter might have slightly more up-to-date info. Because I guess the casting grids are coming out,
Yeah.
and it seems to point to they do want Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor, and they're basically going to have David Cornsweet screen test, which that
Okay.
basically means he's like 90% most likely going to get the part. They just have to like see if he works with the other actors or not. So
Okay, so yeah, because I saw like the conflicting reports about like, oh, he's going for Lex Luthor, and then it's like,
Mhm.
no, he's going for
Yeah.
Superman.
So if everything works out, apparently it will be Cornsweet as Superman and Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor. Lois
Okay.
Lane is the one that nobody knows, though.
Yeah, there's like
There's
there was
a couple names. There's
Yeah, there
one
was 4.
Samara Weaving, and then Rachel.
And there was Emma McKay, or
Yeah, Emma
something.
McKay, and then Rachel Bronze or something.
Brosnan.
Yeah, Brosnan. I think that's. And then God, who was the other one? I forgot what the other one was. Yeah, but there was 4 names that they had in there. I don't know. I like Samara Weaving. And I
Yeah.
don't mind
The only one I really
Mackie,
like.
too. Yeah.
I mean, I assume then she's going to dye her hair because a blonde Lois might be going a little too far.
I don't
I don't
really
know.
give a shit one way or the other.
I don't know if they'll actually care. too much.
Lois Lane, Amy Adams had red hair, so I mean,
Yeah.
they've done
Well,
different looks before.
But keep in mind, Lois was a redhead for a long time in the comics. So now Lana was blonde for a long time in the comics too. So I could see her as Lana, maybe, but yeah.
I don't know.
That's the magic of CGI and all that. So
Yeah,
but again, whatever they do.
Sure. I mean, what's her name? Sydney Sweeney has dyed her hair. You know, she's usually blonde, but she's been brunette. So we'll see.
well, I was gonna say it seems like it is gonna be Cornsweet as Superman. You guys familiar with him at all, or no?
I haven't
Not
seen. I know
particularly.
he was in the X
Pearl.
movie or
He was in
whatever. Pearl.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him in anything else, but the only thing I see when I see him is that's fucking young Henry Cavill. What the hell? That's just
That's like a lot of the comments I've seen is that
Yeah.
he looks either like young Henry Cavill, or if people want to be really mean, they say he's basically diet Henry Cavill.
oh
Or
my
Henry Cavill
god.
light. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, he looks like him. He does. He definitely does. I mean,
And again,
people
though,
were-
Henry Cavill looked like Superman. So
Yeah.
it's like, I mean,
I will
Well, I
say,
mean- yeah. Okay.
I mean, like the favorite before these announcements, the favorite was that Wolfgang Nogowitz or something, but he looked the part certainly.
yeah, I don't think he's in contention though, because like out of everyone that they're naming, he's not even on the radar. So I think it's that ship has sailed. It seems like it's either Cornsweet or one of these guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I haven't seen him like actually act. I've seen like I just see the pictures and I'm like, okay. And I mean, I see it. I even sent Steph like a picture of him, and she was like, "Who is that? Possibly he looks like a Superman type." And I went, "Yep." Apparently he's up for it. And then I was like, and then I sent her another picture. I was like, "Who does he look like?" And she was like, "Oh my god, he looks like Henry." I was like, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I was reading up on Cornsweet.
strange.
Apparently, he's from like Juilliard, and he's been like in a bunch of acting schools and like from Broadway too, I think. So he's probably really good. I mean,
Yeah.
outside of the one movie everyone's seen him in. I mean, because the thing about Pearl is that that's the Mia Goth show, and he just plays one of the supporting roles, a big supporting role, but he's really just like not really. I don't know what the word for it is, like an accessory sort of, or like set dressing. Like he's there really to like help make Mia Goth shine. You know?
Sure.
I still have to watch those movies. They keep on
Same.
putting it
Yeah,
off.
X and Pearl are like tremendous. I mean,
And then they got
so
a
good.
third one coming out too, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Vaccine. Yeah.
Yeah, they're filming that right now, aren't they? Yeah, I remember seeing the pictures. The only thing I've really seen Maya Goth in was the Infinity Pool, which that movie was batshit crazy and insane. I don't know if you guys saw that, but
Isn't
No,
she
I
going to be
didn't
in
know, but I
Blade?
heard about it.
huh?
Isn't she going to be in Blade?
Yeah, she's
She
gonna be
did,
like the
yeah.
main baddie in Blade.
Yeah. Apparently Lilith. Although there's two Liliths, there's one that's like the mother of demons, and there's one that's like the daughter of Dracula. So they don't really know which one.
Yeah.
Comics are weird. There's two Liliths.
Comics, so many
Comics are
characters
weird.
in comics. I know that's why when people get all huffy puffy about like when they like combine, either they'll like, you know, you have to figure out which character you want to use when there's so many that you can use. It's like
Yeah.
which one do you
Yeah.
want to use? And
Yeah.
Now,
sometimes just
Yeah.
now
I was gonna
correct
say
me if I'm
too.
wrong.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't James Gunn say something about how someone has already been cast?
they said, yeah.
Yes.
He said one person has been cast, but it's not necessarily a major role.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they said
Not
not
a-
someone who's usually in the world of Superman.
I'm guessing. I was thinking his wife, and she has some kind of
Well,
part.
he
in
put
it.
the merman emoji,
Yeah.
which that if you remember when Peacemaker was coming out, he would tag tweets with that all the time. So it's probably, well, I don't know though, because the merman thing played off in Peacemaker at the very end with the Justice League. So I know some
Well-
people are saying Jason Momoa, but I don't think
Well,
so.
Not necessarily. Here's what I'm thinking that mermaid thing might be referring to is Frank. If you remember, like recently when Frank Miller did that little project of Superman Year One,
Yeah.
and it's like Superman's origin story, Frank Miller style, and he brought in this mermaid girl, and he was making a reference to it was this character that she was a Silver Age character, but she didn't really show up much after that. But in Silver Age and in Frank Miller's, she was apparently his first girlfriend.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
So
I doubt it's going to be something like that. I don't know. To me, it just seems like it's somebody from the Suicide Squad world.
Oh, most
Peacemaker
likely.
world.
That's what it feels like.
I mean, it could
Yeah.
be Vigilante, it could be Harcourt, it could be Economos. I mean, it could be literally
Well,
anyone.
Yeah, it was funny
So-
because even when I did my short and I even had the screenshot underneath it, somebody actually, did that same emoji and then did a GIF of Vigilante waving,
Mm.
and then apparently James Gunn liked that tweet. So then, of course, everybody started going like, "Ah!"
Oh
and-
yeah. I think it was Alex, wasn't
It
it?
was Alex Lobo, yeah.
Yeah.
And so I even made reference to it too because I was like, "Oh, cool! I can just screenshot and zoom down and be
Well,
like, wait
the
a minute."
funny thing
How about
about
that?
Gunn's tweet though is that for one of I took note of this. Like he didn't say it was wrong. He just said he
No.
won't comment on it because he doesn't comment on actors auditioning because he doesn't think it's fair to the actors. But he didn't say it was incorrect information. So
See,
I'm like, okay.
You bring up a good point here, RJ, because yes, I noticed that too, and I was gonna talk more about the fact that he didn't debunk like he's done other things, and he just went, "Hey,
Yep.
listen, guys, this stuff's happening. I'm not gonna say anything until it's like fully announced and blah 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 blah." So So I think that kind of gives a
Leave
little
some credence, or at least
Yes.
like somebody from that list is probably who he has.
correct and
Yeah.
has been talked to and at least has auditioned and everything. So
Oh, I
we
wouldn't
also got
doubt it one
Mr.
bit.
Droga showing up. What's going on, man?
Hey, Dave. Hey, everyone. How's everyone doing? What are we talking about? Superman Legacy or something?
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
What are
Yeah,
we
what-
talking about, Droga?
Yeah.
What are we
No,
talking
we're Yeah, we're just talking about the rumored front runners for Superman and Lois that was released today by the
Superman
Hollywood Reporter.
Legacy.
We know it's not Logan Lerman. So
No,
No,
it's not
no,
Logan
it's not.
Lerman. That got debunked
Mhm.
a while ago. I still thought that was hilarious. I was like, Gunn, what are you doing? IMDb before you fucking say that.
Yeah,
I
that
don't
was
know
a
who
funny
that
thing to say because
Yeah.
even I'm like, who doesn't know who Logan Lerman is?
yeah.
And even if you don't, just a quick
say
IMDb
that.
and you go, oh yeah, okay, he was in Maze Runner. Okay, he was in that Keaton movie. Or was that another different guy?
He was
Lerman
freaking
or
Percy
what?
Jackson before
Percy
Disney bought it
Jackson.
and rebooted.
I'm thinking
He was
of
in
somebody.
Fury.
I'm thinking that
What
other
else
dude.
was he in?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so I don't know. It's
So what
just,
you drinking, Axel?
Just Pepsi.
he's a
Cool.
Pepsi guy. He gets
Yeah.
high
Yeah.
on Pepsi, man.
Indeed.
Just that
The Pepsi
Well,
Pepsi.
I
Sorry.
wanted to mention too, real quick too, because I almost forgot about this. The Hollywood Reporter article, I think, didn't it mention that the movie apparently, like, they're already casting for other heroes too to appear in the movie?
Yeah,
They
let's
did
see.
mention that the world that Superman's going to be in is already established.
And my
Yeah.
immediate thought with that is that I'm willing to put money down on this. Martian
Ooh.
Manhunter will be in the film.
Hell yeah.
Like that character makes
Yeah,
the most
possibility.
sense to be in there, because I think it has to be characters that connect to like Superman in space.
Yeah.
Sure.
Maybe.
Yeah.
What else? Do you think Supergirl would show up, or is she gonna be?
Well, I mean,
is she
she's
first
supposed
gonna
to show
appear?
up later.
Getting her own
but-
movie. Yeah.
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 Maybe post-credit scene, or I don't know.
I mean, I know
But,
some were speculating maybe you'd see like a Bruce Wayne cameo or something. Lois
Yeah.
Lane reviews Bruce
I
Wayne.
wouldn't mind
maybe.
that. Like, it could be. I have
could.
a feeling it's gonna be something like that Man of Tomorrow animated film. Like,
Mhm.
Martian Manhunter show up. Like, there's a little Batman reference, and
Because like
Yeah.
the two surefire, because I just like Axel said, I really think they're gonna use Man of Tomorrow as kind of a template. So I'm really thinking Lobo and Martian Manhunter in this movie.
Lobo.
I could be wrong.
Lobo
But
cast already? Huh?
Most likely, they just won't say.
Yeah,
Well, I
do
don't
they
know
already have a certain guy.
because that's the weird thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, because I think that they're gearing up for casting before Comic-Con, so they're going to announce the cast at Comic-Con. But I'm like, do you announce Jason Momoa's Lobo at Comic-Con or do you wait? Because I'm almost guaranteed that's what's happening, but you can't
Right.
say it yet.
By the
Let's
way,
just
did
say
you see-
whoever is
did you
cast
see-
as Superman needs to
Yeah.
stay off social media. Let's just say that.
Well,
Did you-
that's already
You
not
think?
happening because Corn Sweat's on Instagram. So
Yeah. Did you see Saggy saying that she wants you to retire already?
no,
Okay.
it's a joke because technically I am retired because I got busy over the past couple. I don't really make much content anymore because I get too busy, but I can pop on.
Yeah, it's all right.
Saggy.
She of course wanted to show up and just give you shit for a little bit.
I know. She lurks everywhere I go.
She's a lurker. She's a lurker. But
Hi,
anyways,
Saggy.
I couldn't bring up the because she was been a member for 4 months. Which thank you, but I couldn't bring it up through StreamYard. So just wanted to make sure you caught that.
Oh, okay. I'll read that in a second.
Yeah.
I'll look at it.
It's fine. But
Yeah.
no, I think that'd be smart for them to already they're gonna have to expand that world, especially if I mean and how are we feeling about the whole crypto thing? I mean, especially after seeing Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
I
Well,
don't mind
How are we
it.
feeling?
To be honest, I know there are some people that are just gonna say, "Oh, it's just James Gunn's formula," but I'm like, Crypto's a cool character. Like, I don't mind. He was on Titans for a bit. He was.
Mhm.
I didn't see
Well,
the
the thing
Super
is, it's just
Pets
like,
movie, but-
how many Superman movies have there been? Like,
7, 8,
Well,
9.
yeah,
something,
like,
I don't know.
how do you
Six, I think.
differentiate it from what came before?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
Crypto is like one of the easy pieces
Yeah.
of Superman iconography you can throw and be like, look, it's different. We got the dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
And not to
just-
mention that,
I'm just-
that
yeah.
could sell. That could sell pretty good too. And
Yeah.
just don't have the dog talk. And
Oh,
and
God.
that might
Don't
be
have
better.
Or if you do,
Yeah.
just do a quick wink and a nod, give Dwayne Johnson a nice little paycheck, and be on your way.
Yeah, because I was just gonna say, I'm just curious who's gonna voice him.
Nah, I don't think they
I
should.
I hope they don't get a voice for him. That'd
Yeah.
They're not
Bit
going to,
too
but it'd be funny if
silly.
they did.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like coming off of Guardians, and naturally you had Rocket, who full on has a voice. But I mean, I don't know. I
Have
think,
them talk
but I
like
mean-
have them talk like they did in Anchorman, where it's like, "Ruh, ruh."
yeah,
I
it could
hope
be
not.
that. Yeah, what? You
God.
pooped in the refrigerator and it
What?
ate a whole wheel of cheese.
Baxter, what are
Yeah.
you doing?
No, but I'm like, but even like when you watch Super Pets, and when he's talking, it's not like it's for us to understand him, but the people around him can't understand him. Like wasn't it like that? Didn't they have that concept where like they can talk with each
Well,
other? but
I
not-
mean,
it was like a Stewie situation, I guess.
well, hold on. I'm pretty sure doesn't like the Batman dog, like Kevin Hart's dog and Batman, kind of talk with each other, like they understand each other.
Well, yeah, all the animals talk with each other, but I don't
No,
think
I
they
mean, Batman and the dog talk with each other, don't they?
actually, yeah.
I think so. I don't
I don't know.
really
I'm trying to
remember.
remember how that goes. I only saw it once.
Yeah.
But
I
I
never
mean,
saw it.
I just thought it was like kind of like how Family Guy has a Stewie, where they always kind of
Right.
make it where like, do they understand them or they don't understand
Come on,
them?
fat man.
Yeah,
Do you
I
understand me or what?
Well, what I thought was interesting too, and someone I forget the Twitter user, but someone pointed this out when like if you go way back to like when crypto was first introduced, they actually like made like the idea of crypto be more like an emotional thing for
Yeah.
Clark, because like having that dog around was like, and I think he said this to Lois and Lana Lang, was like, I used to feel alone in a sense because like I felt like I was the only thing from my home world, and now here's someone who shares it with me.
See?
So
And,
you
and
can
see-
play up something like that if you want to.
And I'm wondering if this is what Gunn, like when he had that bell go off in his head, which, obviously we could, I mean, I remember William saying, I think last time, he's like, oh, the bell that went off in his head was they gave him the title. I'm like, okay, I can understand. Maybe that's why he took on Superman. But then at the same time, I'm like, yeah, but still, if there's some kind of fresh idea that he wants to implement when it comes to Superman, I think crypto, and, if we're going to have this story where there is a sense of loneliness that Superman has, I think, God, I mean, how many heartstrings can you add that into the story where you have this, man and best friend? Or I even said on Film Junkie Live, I was like, some of the best. I mean, look at the John Wick movie started with because somebody killed his fucking dog, and we got 4 movies out of it.
Heck,
know?
if you read Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, the inciting incident of the whole story is something that happens to Crypto. You know,
Exactly.
So,
I haven't read
Yeah.
it, but I remember Rebecca Johnson was telling me about that, and she was like, "Yeah." So
Yeah.
like, okay, so it makes sense. I mean, I thought, like, okay, what's the fresh?
Do you guys,
take? That's
speaking of
fresh.
Supergirl, do you think they're gonna keep Sasha Kaye as Supergirl?
I don't know, man,
that's the biggest question mark.
because
And like, even if she is popular, like I don't really see Gunn. If Gunn keeps her, cool, but like, I don't know if he will, because I
He
mean,
didn't keep
and
Henry
if he gets a
Cavill.
lot of backlash, yeah, he got rid of Cavill, exactly. So yeah,
Yeah,
got rid of
exactly.
Cavill.
If the movie
I
pops
don't-
off really well, I can see her sticking around as like in a multiverse capacity, as like a Power Girl, maybe. You know,
That's on the table, to be honest with you.
Supergirl
And
though,
in fact-
most likely not, because I think he probably
Yeah.
wants someone to match whatever actor he picks.
I think
maybe Castro's Jessica
I think-
Cruz.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have no idea, but honestly, I think the Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow movie, I think they're going to try and keep it as close to the Tom King comic as possible. That's kind of where my mind's at with that. As far as the whole this Superman movie, I've been quiet for a reason. I don't really have much to say.
Well, of course. But I will say about Crypto, about the dog, I do find it like if they do bring him in, I think it will be very interesting to explore. Okay, how do you deal with this dog who's Kryptonian? I mean, with these Kryptonian abilities, like I assume the dog's super strong or whatever. How does a dog? It's hard enough for a person that has these Kryptonian abilities to deal with the world, but this dog, like if you call him the dog and he runs into the door, then he'll smash through the door, for example. So it'll be interesting to see like how well trained is this dog off the bat. How do you control this dog?
yeah, that's what's going to be the interesting part. And I think, coming off Guardians and the fact that, I mean, the Rocket origin was so,
Yeah, I mean,
I know, I think all you guys probably saw it, right?
yeah, no, and that's what I was
I
gonna
plan on
say,
seeing
too.
it tomorrow with my sister. So
Okay, yeah.
We won't go too in the spoilers,
Right.
but I mean,
I
you
was
know
just
that
gonna
it.
say, watching that movie, right? To me, at least, as someone, because again, I'm one of the weird people. Okay,
You
I like
weirdo.
Guardians 2 more than I like Guardians 1, which is
Oh,
weird
yeah,
for a
you
lot
are
of
a weirdo.
people
Yeah.
because,
Whoa.
and I've always said this, it's because to me, I think that the villain was much better in 2. And that villain, like Ego's presence in that movie, elevated for me.
I
Because
can
that
agree
whole
with that.
storyline was so compelling.
yeah, I can see that because Kurt Russell is excellent. He is
And
one of the
Yeah.
he is one of the best MCU villains ever so far.
Mm-hmm. And I was gonna say too, like the entire third act, I thought was perfect. Like what happened with Yondu and everything, and like the whole ending
Yondu
to the movie. I was
sacrifice
like,
was
that
good.
was really good stuff.
I like the
Very
music and
And then-
Yondu's sacrifice. That was
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was good. That
I like the
actually was
music
good.
there.
Yeah.
And then seeing this third movie, though, to me at least, I'm looking at this third film. Like each movie, I feel like you see Gunn become more confident as a filmmaker. By the time we get to this
I can
third
agree with
Guardians movie, to
I
me,
agree.
I feel like it's the best of the 3. And
Yeah.
to me, at least, I think it was a very strong movie and probably one of the best in a while from the MCU, honestly. Because again, it has that emotional catharticness to it, that emotional weight to it. And watching it, I'm like, yeah, I can feel good about him directing Superman. You know,
Oh, yeah.
I was already fine with it before, but watching the movie, I'm like, yeah, I'm fine with this.
It gave me
I
a
think
little
he
more
gets it.
confidence. It gave me
Yeah.
a little more confidence, and I think
Yeah.
a lot of people felt that way. I saw a lot of tweets when people were posting about Guardians, and even when I ran my polls on both YouTube and Twitter, and mainly people said that they were more confident than ever.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm.
I mean,
course,
dare I ask if it's like it's as if the third movie shows James Gunn getting more mature as a filmmaker.
Yeah,
That too.
I would say it's more mature and more confident for sure. I mean, this
Yeah.
third movie goes to a lot of dark places. It goes
Jesus
to a lot.
Christ,
It
it's
covers
so
a lot
dark.
of themes and
Yeah.
Are any of Gunn's other movies like is super good? Like
Yeah.
that
Super's-
the one with
It's indie-esque, but it's good. I liked
There's-
it. I enjoyed it.
yeah.
It's
what other
dark
movies has
humor.
he done? I know he produced
Sliver.
Brightburn, which
There's
I
one
thought was
scene-
pretty.
There's one scene in particular for Super that will not age well, given what happened to him professionally. And Dave's laughing because he knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I was going to mention that too. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. There's some aspects of Super that haven't aged
Yeah.
well, not just because of that whole thing, but also too just that movie definitely reeks of like
Basically
some trauma,
different
some trauma
version of
corpse.
Kick-Ass,
It
pretty
does,
much, right?
yeah.
It's kind of
Yeah.
Kick-Ass-esque, yeah, but it's way
It's
more...
Kick-Ass without the
Oh
fun.
my god, it came out the same year.
It's Kick-Ass with like I don't even know if I'd say a lower budget, but like a less utilized. But I don't know.
But no, I mean, but I liked it. I mean, that's why like when people just have seen the Guardians movies and they just think, and then I'm just like, it's kind of funny too because I was actually in a group chat and somebody who doesn't like Gunn at all was mentioning how like I think there was some kind of report that came out that said that our James Gunn said it in a press junket that he would get Kevin Feige would be like, hey, here's Spider-Man script, give me some notes on it, or here's the Doctor Strange script, give me some notes. And he's like, see, they're all like just like it's all like a one brain thing and blah blah blah. And I'm like, wait a minute. So if that's the case, should we thank James Gunn for Infinity War? Because that was excellent.
well, that's I don't know if you guys caught this, but during the Guardians 3 press junket, he talked about when he was making the first Guardians, they told him you have to come up with like the storyline for like the Infinity Stones.
He was laughing.
He's like, okay. And then he spent like an hour coming up with the story. It's like, all right, here you go. Whatever.
20 minutes. Yeah.
I don't really care about this, but here you go.
So then I was like, okay, so we could thank James Gunn for. So you're saying we should thank James Gunn for Infinity War, which is, in my opinion, one of the best MCU movies. And I'm like, I don't know, you're not really.
Well, the thing is too,
and then all of a sudden. But then it was funny too because then somebody else said like, as opposed to what when it was Whedon, and they were like, "Oh yeah, you might not want to back up what came before."
I found it ironic because Whedon did a lot of the punching up on the Phase 1 stuff, and it sounds like Gunn did some punching up on Phase 3. And if you look at Spider-Man, Captain Marvel, Doctor Strange, if you look at the humorous moments of those movies, absolutely.
Well, that was the thing because if you remember. When it came to Whedon, when they brought him on for the first Avengers, and that was such a big movie, he was basically next in line to run the MCU because if you'll remember, he really did most of the punching up for Phase 2. I don't know if you guys remember this, but when Thor: The Dark World was having trouble with the reshoots, they basically got on their hands and knees and asked Joss Whedon to film some of the reshoots, which is where they included, remember that scene where Loki turns into Captain America? Oh, yeah. That was filmed by Whedon.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that.
Yeah.
Part,
so, and he gave notes on each of the Phase 2 movies leading up to Age of Ultron. That's why when he got to Age of Ultron, he was so burnt out creatively a little bit because he's like, first you're telling me I can't do all this, you're interfering with what I want to do with this movie, and then like I just had to fix all your other movies this phase, except for Winter Soldier. I don't think he touched that one. But
which shows. But
which is why I love Age of Ultron because it nearly broke him. So
yeah. We got somebody else coming in. Somebody else, I don't think it hasn't been here yet, but we got Brad.
Oh, hey, Brad.
Brad. I always feel like I'm saying your name wrong. Am I saying it right?
Hey, Brad.
How do you say it?
Brad Curran?
Yeah. Well,
okay.
it can be either Curran or Curran. I've heard it both ways. I don't really split hairs about that.
Okay, tomato. Hey, thanks for joining, man. Appreciate it.
And Phil, thank you also. I got a little bit of a shout out last night in the Vodka stream for kind of something I posted. So I did kind of get some of the conversation about that.
You write good stuff.
Which one was that?
Oh, that was some of the BBS discourse. And I posted something about it's been 7 years. We were talking about this movie nonstop. And it definitely brought out some of the pitchforks and torches. And one certain individual in particular, who shall remain nameless, but Phil knows what I'm talking about, who really delights in trolling the fandom, decided to jump in there, and I just kind of said my piece and left it at that.
Some of the comments on Brad's thread it just goes back to what we've been talking about for the last week. People really just have no shame in just shedding, like whenever Zack Snyder says something that is pertaining to his art, people automatically just have to jump on and pile on and say some shit. Like this individual just is notorious for this. If you've seen this individual, who's again will remain nameless, but Just look on
And-
Brad's
Put it
thread
in
and
the
see
Yeah.
and just see how many times Brad had to say refer to the above comment.
And even beyond
Funniest
BVS,
thing.
like even beyond BVS, are we still at that whole? Are we still at the discussion where we're talking about how dare Clark smash up that guy's truck after all the crap he was giving the girl?
Apparently, we
Yeah,
are.
and even though it's a kind of a
Bad.
homage to Action Comics where he lifts up that car.
Yeah.
You know, I was on a Discord server the other day, and I'm not going to name the server, and because just out of respect for it's a popular comic book channel, and but there were some people who just hate Zack Snyder. They were like, "This guy is a man-child. He won't stop teasing his fans. This guy is just..." And yeah, and I'm just like, oh my god. You do know people who have worked with Zack say the nicest things about him.
I'm assuming that's kind of related to some of the stuff he said at Full Circle about the Robin stuff. I'd love to tell you more, but I don't want to spoil it. So I was assuming that would probably inspire a little bit of a backlash. So I'm guessing that's what that's from.
I'm just curious. I'm just curious. Those people calling Zack a man-child. I'm curious on whether or not they are Joss Whedon fans. Just saying.
Oh, it's
I don't know
Oh,
if
they probably are.
Yeah.
Either that or Jeff Johns fans, or
Yeah, Jeff
the
Johns
same
fans,
people
Corey.
who think, oh, there should
More
be
than
a
likely-
white Black Panther.
It's interesting too. You mentioned Joss Whedon fans because I know a number of people, both friends and coworkers, who I should say were big Joss Whedon fans. Were big fans of Buffy and Angel and a lot of his prior work, and also everything he did with Avengers. And I don't know if this is anybody else's experience, but since everything's kind of come out about him, as far as the stuff on Justice League and his past conduct with his cast and crew, in my experience or interacting with a lot of Whedon OGs, I mean, you think Snyder fans are mad at him? I don't think I've encountered anybody who has as much. What's the word I'm looking for? Who really hates Whedon's guts more now than Whedon OGs?
Yeah, true.
And
It-
like
it is-
people who say, "Oh, Ray Fisher is a liar, Josh Whedon is innocent," and I'm like, okay, but what
Well,
about
they don't
Gal?
say
What
not
about
anymore.
everyone?
Yeah,
The
good old
yeah.
Jody.
What about that?
Yeah, no, it's.
Never
I think like it is interesting because I still remember even when we were hearing that Joss Whedon was going to be coming on to help with the reshoots, and
And
I
like
think
before that,
report-
sorry to cut you up a bit, but like he was reportedly meant to do a Batgirl movie, which
yeah,
Yeah.
he was going to do a
I remember
Batgirl
that.
movie. But I remember just hearing that, and I remember trying to be as optimistic as possible. I'm like, hey, it's Joss Whedon. He did the Avengers movie. If Zach is
That too.
wanting him to come in, and that's what they reported was, Zach wanted him to
Right.
come in, but Zach had nothing to do.
Yeah, it was
with
a lie.
It being reported that they were close friends. That it was
Yeah.
Zach and Joss were good.
And what
friends.
was
like,
it?
you had
Yeah.
Ray Fisher like saying at Comic-Con, you could just see the look on his face, like,
Yeah.
Look at Jason Momoa in that video.
Yeah, Jason Momoa was like, he was just looking straight, like, oh god, this is horrible.
He's like,
Yeah. I mean, I'm also remembered that at that time where it's like where people were. I remember when Campea was like was defending the whole idea, and then people who were following him in his chats were saying, John, these guys are very different style. And he's like, oh, come on, that's no big deal. You got the visual style of a Zack Snyder, and you got the dialogue and character of a Joss Whedon. How could you go wrong? And it's like, their scenes are going to be completely different, dude. But,
Ended up
I'll
being the
talk
case.
to it myself, saying that
Oh,
I was.
fuck.
Sorry, go ahead.
I just found the first boss in Tears of the Kingdom. That's what.
I was like, what happened? I heard.
It is a big, giant, flying icicle centipede thing, and I have no fucking clue what I'm gonna do. Oh my god, this
I was
is
reading about that
spooky.
earlier.
Well, I was just gonna weigh on the whole BVS discourse thing because
Yeah,
just
go
like
ahead.
Phil,
By all means.
I'm very quiet on it because I try not to stir the pot or like say the wrong thing because
Oh sure.
no reason being
No, I know, I know.
being is because
Uh-huh.
I'm very sad to say I'm not one of the people who particularly care for that film. I
Exactly.
respect it. I
Right,
respect
you
what Zach
do
was
not
going
acknowledge
for.
that it is the Empire Strikes Back of comic books.
Yeah, and another thing, I
Right on,
respect
Bill.
because the thing is like it's weird for me because I'm in a weird position, right? Because I liked Man of Steel. Okay.
Uh-huh.
BVS, I don't particularly care for, but then I love Zack Snyder's Justice League. So I'm like a weird part where like that middle chapter for me is just like I don't vibe with it. But
Yeah.
here's the thing, right?
Yeah, it's all good.
How many years has it been since it came out?
7.
Seven? Okay, like 7 years
You're not the
removed.
7. Yeah.
Who cares?
I know.
Like here's my thing.
Exactly.
Like I feel like a lot of it's the media's fault. I feel like
Yep.
because they know it gets
It's-
easy clicks from people
it's
who
the
like
Last
really
Jedi
want to
of
defend the
DC.
movie. Yeah, it's a Last Jedi kind of thing. It's just like
You either
People-
love it or you hate it, and it, for
well,
me,
either
I
love it or
love-
you hate it, and the media I feel like perpetuates like the BS because they like either do clickbaity articles to attract like the most fervent haters or the most fervent defenders. I'm just
Well,
like, we're 7 years removed from this movie. It's like if you like it, great. I love hearing people talk about it because
Yeah.
What
it's
are you talking
subjective.
about? I mean, it's like we were we were doing totally fine with Captain Cul-de-sac distancing us from BVS for years with no Superman on screen at all.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, it just baffles me because I'm just like, my whole thing is like, because I've grown and matured a lot. Because like, God, how old was I when I saw that movie 7 years ago? Like I was like 17, 16 when I saw that movie, right?
Young buck.
I know, young buck, right? And like, I probably wasn't the most mature about it when it first came out. It's like I saw the Ultimate Edition. I'm like, oh, this is better. There's
Yeah.
still some things in it I don't really love, but I can appreciate what it's going for a lot more.
Was Batfleck's ass?
Yeah, well, basically, what I found interesting at first was like, all right, first off, okay, so I think it was the DCU Direct that posted the article first with the quote,
That's right.
and I'm just kind of like, oh wait, this is a week and a half after the whole thing. Like,
Yeah,
you guys-
first they
like,
released that Steppenwolf clip.
yeah, but like
that-
it was just kind of like what we were talking about at the beginning, RJ, is like the fact that there was a slow news week, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of why they're like, hey, let's go back and start looking through all this full circle Zack Snyder footage and let's get some good quotes. And then they didn't even do a good job at reporting what they said because they said like Q&A, and then it was like funny because on Wednesday I was trying to find exactly where it was because I wanted to show the actual thing, and I'm like, where the hell is this question
Oh, damn it.
in the Q&A? And it wasn't the Q&A, it was during the commentary with Rebecca Johnson, and then she had to find it for me because she knew where it was at. And then I was like, oh, okay, so you weren't even asking a question. They made it seem like it was just so weird. And then other, of course, blogs did the same thing, and they'd never really linked it to the actual video, which I always hated when they do that. It's like you have the source like right there, easy to link. I know you could easily do that. Why didn't you do that? And it was just some misinformation when it came to that. But then obviously when people are saying like, oh yeah, well, in my eyes, you just, when it came to Batman and Superman taking on each other, you didn't execute it correctly. It's like, okay, well, in your eyes, it wasn't for you. He executed the way he wanted it to. You didn't like how he did it, which a lot of people didn't. And, that's perfectly fine. But it's just, I think like a lot of the discourse I saw was people just like not like thinking that his quotes were just like, he's kind of sounding arrogant and just kind of pointing the blame at them. Or something like that. I don't know. I think it seemed like when I saw the discourse.
But here's the thing, right? Like, even because again, I come into this as someone who doesn't really like. I don't hate the movie like I once did. I like
As long as
the
you don't
Ultimate
talk
Edition.
about
It's a
it
much
like
better film.
24/7.
But that's the thing, right? Like, it's been like 7 years. Like,
Exactly.
the choices he made are the choices he made as a filmmaker. I respect the fact that he made the movie on his terms, whether or not I love it or enjoy it or think it was the perfect. First, because again, I think what it comes down to, and this is what a lot of people kind of, I feel like, overlook, is that there's so much emotions tied into that movie specifically, because Zack was the first filmmaker to make the quote-unquote dream movie. He was the guy who got to make the first movie where Superman and Batman teamed up and fought each other.
He did the
And
death.
there's a lot of emotion for that for people, because they're like, you didn't do it this exact perfect way, and you ruined the first time. That's where the emotion comes in, is because like you were the first to do it, and to their eyes, he blew it. Which I don't think he blew it. He's made the movie that he wanted to make. I mean, I don't understand how you can say he blew the opportunity. He made the movie he wanted to. Even as someone who may not enjoy it or like love it, I respect the fact that he made the movie he wanted to, right? And like that's the thing. It's just like there's a lack of maturity, I think, on both sides, where I feel like mostly from the hater perspective at this point, because like nowadays it's like people just talk about it because they like it, and that's fine. Like I don't understand how 7 years later you could be like still hating on it to the point of where like you want to demean people who enjoy it. That's what
Oh my
gets
god,
me.
there's this one Batman Beyond fan on Twitter, and oh my god, he will not shut up about BVS.
And to add to that,
That's his MO.
to add to that, some of the comments I got on the post that I made, because I made my comment was, we're still talking about it 7 years later with this kind of passion, that should maybe tell you something about its longevity. And so many of the comments I got were things like, well, yeah, we're still talking about Catwoman, we're still talking about Batman and Robin, we're still talking about,
not like this.
talking about
There
the
aren't
same.
that many people talking about Catwoman. I'm sorry. The only thing people are bringing up with Catwoman is that Halle Berry looks hot in the outfit.
But again, to
Well, the
that
outfit's
point
ridiculous,
though,
too.
the reason I think we talk about it so much, or at least the online discourse is because I'm going to compare it to The Last Jedi again. For whatever reason, Batman v Superman and The Last Jedi are like those two focal points in entertainment discourse that we can look back on. It's like, whenever this released, it fundamentally changed the way online discourse works.
Yeah.
I don't know why it was those two movies in particular, but they both did things differently. In BVS's case, it was how fans and the media interact with each other. And then when it came to The Last Jedi, it was more so like how fandoms collide, sort of, and like filmmakers versus fans. That makes sense.
Yeah. And I'll say, like, a lot of the people who are talking about BVS, about hating on BVS, they all seem to miss the fact that when the Ultimate Edition came out, a lot of the critics that dumped on the theatrical cut, they saw the Ultimate Edition, and what they do? They apologized to Zach.
I remember Schnepp.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember watching like that night, like because he was lucky enough to go see it on the big screen when they had like those. It was like a one night screening. I remember I tried to get that screen and I didn't get it, but I remember that night he went live, I think, with his group. And he basically like did a 180 flip. He was like, I actually really like this movie. And I didn't like it, the theatrical, but he said that he just absolutely was like,
Right.
I
And
wanna
that
watch
goes
the
back
movie.
into it too, where just
Yeah.
how royally they screwed up. Because again, even as someone who doesn't love the movie, if they had released the Ultimate Edition first,
Yeah.
I guarantee you
Yes.
the reaction would not have been as volatile or angry as it was.
There's
Because
one-
I think more people, like, there still would have been people who didn't like it, obviously, but it would not have been like the overwhelming hate, you know?
Exactly. And it probably would have made the billion, you think?
Oh.
Maybe would have been close. Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
a line too at the end when Batman goes to confront Lex Luthor in the prison cell. I remember showing it to a friend of mine. She's a big Batman fan, and not a BVS fan, even post Ultimate Edition. But there was one element of that I knew you would really bring a smile to her face that was not in the theatrical cut. And he's about to brand Lex, and Lex is like, "I know who you are," and Batman says, "Yeah, that's why we have facilities that treat people with kindness, but you're going to Arkham." As soon as that line dropped, she was just all smiles about that. I knew.
Yeah.
And it's a small touch like that. And I think, as David, something you pointed out on prior streams is that one in particular, it's another small this part where it's showing when Batman, there exactly, yeah, when it's showing the security footage, and it's such a brief moment, but it gives you all you need to know about how he got the kryptonite.
Yeah.
And they cut out the scene where, Gina Malone's character, the scientist, finds out that the wheelchair was made out of lead.
Yeah.
And
Oh.
gotta say
Cut that
real
You know
quick.
what's funny? I remember
That
about
scene in
Jenna Malone's
particular-
character. I remember when Jenna Malone was rumored and actually heavily confirmed to be Batgirl. I remember that. Funny rumor.
Yeah. Everybody thought she was either Oracle or Babs or something. You know,
I
they were.
thought she was going to be Chloe
version.
Sullivan for a while.
You thought she was who? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I remember. Yeah. That's somebody from the. She's
From
from the
Smallville.
Flash universe. Yeah, Smallville. Oh yeah, her. Yeah. But I remember they were talking about. She was. There was a character from Flash's world. I forgot what the name was. People were thinking it was her. Maybe that's who it actually was. I don't know. I always forget what her character's name actually was, but I think she's.
Janet Clyburn.
Yeah. So and shouldn't she work? Yeah. Didn't she part of?
She worked at Star Labs.
Yeah. So.
Funny story too about Jenna Malone. Before in 2015, this is August 2015 before BVS came out. Buddy and I, we actually took a trip to Tampa Comic Con, and she was giving a panel there, so I got to see her talk about that. She was also talking about like Sucker Punch, and this is also the last Hunger Games is coming out, and it was so funny because she had to tiptoe around. She couldn't really, she couldn't say who she was, and of course at that point in time we didn't know if she was going to be cut out and then put back in. But she had obviously glowing things to say about Zach, working on Sucker Punch.
Of course.
And, she was it was a real pleasure to get to see her at that panel.
Somebody made a really awesome concept art of her as Batgirl. I remember using it.
Yeah.
Somebody like they took like the material that they used for the bat suit and made and designed in concept of a Batgirl costume, which was darker, but it still had the same texture and everything. When it came to, it was so cool. I was like, oh man, how awesome is that?
It just goes to show, because people knew that because she was in Sucker Punch, they thought, hey, Zach's got to cast her in another action role, right?
Yeah. I know she's
she might have that Moon.
Yeah.
And I remember there was like speculation for like Hal Jordan being in Batman vs. Superman. Like there was this actor named Dan Amboyer who was
I know.
Who was like
I made that joke to Joey when he was sitting next to me. I was like Green Lantern's coming up, because you see him in that drone sequence and all, and you know what, and it was funny too, because I remember when that was all rumored and people were talking about it, and then that the actor, just like Sam Benjamin, also did the same thing. When you lean into it, that's gonna, if it's gonna help your career, I don't mind you doing it. But then it's like, once you find out that you're not, then it's like everything just kind of goes, all right, boop, boop, we're done,
Didn't he voice Green Lantern?
Isn't that basically what Harry Lennox did with the whole like Martian Manhunter thing? Didn't he basically lean into it, and that did lead to him being Martian Manhunter?
No, I think he was. I think the way that it kind of played out was, it was not in Man of Steel. He was not Martian Manhunter in Man of Steel. But then there was the fan theories that started coming about when they were making when he was making PBS. Then they were like, maybe we should kind of, like Zach said, maybe that's a pretty cool idea and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But when it came to Sam Benjamin and Dan and Boyer, or whatever the heck, when people were thinking that they were doing it, they were just like, all right, I'm going to post some green images of myself. I'm going to try, they really leaned into it, but
going back to Harry Lennox real quick. Because it's interesting you should mention that, because Zach has said that was a fan theory that he picked up and ran with. And watching Man of Steel in the lead up to Full Circle, this may sound a little tinfoil hat, but I do slightly question whether Zach is kind of pulling our leg on that, because look at some of the when Swanwick first appears in the movie, when he's is in his with that Science is Classified behind him and kind of those early scenes. Look at a lot of the framing of him. He's got kind of like almost like that Matrix green tint on the light on him. So
the green tint. Yeah.
I know, you never know with Zach. Like I said, you would have, like, just going back to when he was like, when somebody says that he teases his fans or teases too many things with his fans. When he was talking about like the Joker stuff and he didn't want to give too much away, and it was just like, so then it just leads people to think like, okay, what is going to be happening? To me, I'm just like, I think he's always leaving that story open for a book or anything like that, just to have something.
Yeah. And honestly, and I've brought this up, that look, if he does do the graphic novel route, great, with all the Dalek and all that, like fans could do like an audio drama of it with, actors and all that, or maybe he could eventually in the future.
I think the bigger takeaway with the stuff that he, kind of the teasing that he did at Full Circle, the main thing I kind of took away from that is that not even there's any kind of particular sort of route or apparatus or any road he's immediately taking, or if there's any kind of deal linked. I was just kind of looking at that more as like he still wants to finish the story. He's still kind of leaving that leaving those things going.
That's where, like, when I have to deal with, like, that loud side of the fandom that accuses me of saying, oh, you're part of the move on community or whatever the fuck. I'm like, when have I ever said move on, first off? And then I just kind of go like, all right, look, I've even said this many times. I'm like, Zach is not moved on. Sure, he's moved on to something else that he's doing, and great. And I'm actually more looking forward to that now after all the madness and the fact that we got the Snyder Cut. I'm good. I'm okay with that. If we get more, fine. But the fact that we got the Snyder Cut was just like the biggest W, I thought, when it came to the whole community. And,
I will-
hold on. Well, it's like when when it came to people saying like, okay, he's, when they say he's moved on, I'm like, he's never moved on because he loves these characters so much. And I'm like, there's always a possibility of him coming back and doing something, whether it could be, another live action thing, or it could be an animation thing, or it could be a comic book thing. I mean, we know that Zach wants to dip his fingertips in all kinds of entertainment and arts, and he's doing that, of course, over at Netflix with animation, and with, he's going to have a freaking Rebel Moon video game, for God's sakes. I mean, he's putting his fingertips in all of that. So I'm not going to ever say that he will not come back and do something with these characters that he has always said that he loves so much. So I hate it when I get that, oh yeah, he's moved on. I'm like, no, he's just gone on to another thing.
He's a cloud chaser.
Here's the
He's
thing.
just some alcoholic YouTuber. I'm like, oh god, shut up. That's what I hear.
I will say
They
this.
always call
Though,
that, I mean, good for you.
I do, to an extent, in a way, you can kind of understand why people link you to the whole move on thing. Like whenever like someone brings up, why not bring it back? And you say, well, why would he come back to this?
Yeah, there's that too. I mean, I always said like, why would you want, especially when before the new regime, before Zaslav came in and Discovery came in, I was like, why would you want him to come back to this madness? It's still fucked up. There's still Walter Hamada and Emmerich. They're all still there. Why would you want him to come back? And then when it finally changed, I was like, okay, maybe he could do that. And then when James Gunn came back in, I was like, hey, now we have an even a bigger opportunity. But then all those people were like, no, fuck James Gunn. We don't like fire him. I'm like, what are you thinking here, guys? Seriously.
It's almost like they want to move on if James Gunn's in charge.
Well, like how, I mean, to kind of,
Go ahead.
similar related topic. I mean, how, coming off of full circle, is that your R2D2 guy going there, Eric?
Yes.
Okay, I was wondering what that noise was, but I was thinking somebody else was trying to talk and I was interrupting.
No.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
But again, coming off a full circle, another one of the big things to really spring out of that was like, I mean, how rad was that to see Marv Wolfman tweet about, I want to see this Batman versus Deathstroke.
That was great.
And like you literally had people in the comments telling the creator of Deathstroke that he's not a Batman villain. Are you kidding?
Oh
me?
yeah, that whole thing.
That is the most childish thing ever. Oh yeah, but he's allowed to fight Green Arrow.
Yeah. I'm very curious if those people would have said the same thing about, say, Wilson Fisk being a villain. The fact that he's both a villain for Spider-Man and a villain for Daredevil.
Well, there was a little bit of that when Justice League came out. Steppenwolf's not a Justice League villain.
Yeah, and yet they don't complain about, Starro isn't a Suicide Squad villain.
Like Ra's al Ghul is the villain on Green Arrow season 3.
Yeah.
And Damien Dark in season 4.
They're DC villains that they could fit within a story. Fuck it, let it go.
It
Let it go through. I mean, that's the thing. And I know when people were saying that Deathstroke's not a Batman villain, but but how many times has that been the case where they had a showdown with each other? I mean, my God, that Arkham footage. What is it? Arkham Origins, right?
Arkham Origins.
Yeah. When you see that footage of them fucking fighting, it's like, how would you not want to see something like that live action? I mean,
they want to see it, but like if Zach's involved, then they're like, oh.
And didn't
that would have been?
Didn't that also the Batman versus Death? I think that also came out the same year as The Dark Knight Rises. So, and think about the fact that fight scene is better than any of the fight scenes in Dark Knight Rises.
It's better than all
like
the fight seasons in the Dark Knight trilogy altogether. Let's face it.
As
Much as beautiful as that trilogy is, the fight choreography was never the strong side when it came to Nolan.
Like pre-BBS, that was our best Batman fight scene. Was that
True?
Batman fight?
No doubt about it.
Yeah, that's absolutely. I mean, but yeah, I love the fact that he came out and said that, and of course, Ben. I mean, obviously that's not going to probably happen. I mean, I was thinking like, man, how awesome would it have been, like, if there was conversation of doing an Elseworlds, but then there's like that would be like he had another Batman movie, and they already have 2 Batmans that are going to be like moving forward. So they have another one.
Like wait until after Matt Reeves has concluded his Batman storylines, his story arc with and his franchise essentially, and then we can start talking about maybe Batfleck doing his thing or whatever, or Ms. Steel 2.
There's also, because I've been on a few streams with William Powell of Sci-Fi Center, and I know he's been on here previously. He's and he's very much of he calls it resolve the Snyderverse. It's kind of his preferred way to put it. And one of the ways he's kind of I'm losing my train of thought here all of a sudden. I don't know why that happened, but
you get used to it after a while.
Huh?
You get used to it after a while.
Okay. It might have been R2D2 beep in there that got me off track.
R7.
R7.
R7D6, get it? Because he's red, white, blue.
No.
So district, anyways. DC, anyways. But now what were we saying? Okay, so you're basically saying what you were saying, like I don't know. I think I
lost it. I'll get it back. I'll chime in when it comes back to me. It's like I'm in the middle of talking and it just leaves. What the hell?
It happens. It happens. Don't worry. It happens to me.
Too young to be getting Alzheimer's.
Well, I know.
I wasn't sure where you were going.
It's all good.
It'll come back. It'll come back.
No, but I mean, like,
ditch
when it comes to Ben Affleck and his Batman, I mean, if we could still get that story.
Oh yeah. Okay. Sorry.
There you go. I got you back. I got you back.
I was going to bring up also. This is the point he's made about the Flash, which of course that has it's introducing the multiverse. It's introducing all these different variations of these characters. Ben Affleck. This will be the first time we've seen him theatrically as Batman since BVS. I'm not going to mention that other movie, but
right.
And he's made the point, and he's made it, on here with you, Dave. The Flash being kind of a wild card with it being so steeped in the Snyderverse, with it being such a basically like a Flashpoint style retelling of Man of Steel. What happens if you're in a situation where that these characters and these the trappings, the Zack Snyder trappings of it, but if that really resonates with people, then what do you do in that situation? How do you accommodate that? And so I think that is a fair point to bring up in terms of like, what would we want to do something further with Ben Affleck or with Zack Snyder's story or anything like that? And as you also kind of mentioned, I think probably from the information you've heard, you've said really the Flash is is in a lot of ways really more preserving the Snyderverse to be revisited at a different point. And the thought I've had on that is like, well, what's the point of preserving it if you're not going to go back to it? So
exactly. I think there's a good possibility that it could go back to it at some point. That's why I'm never ruling anything out. I mean, we've talked about it too. It's like if there's ever like a crisis thing that they lead to, you never know. I mean, then we could get a Cavill Superman, and everybody back, even though we have like another group. It just could get to that point because, I mean, it sounds like the Flash is going to be something pretty special. I mean, Jaden Smith, everybody, Jaden Smith.
I saw that. Apparently, he's doing the Tom Cruise thing now.
Yeah, apparently everyone in the world has seen this movie except for
us
normal people.
Yeah,
wild.
The us normies have yet to see this, but Jaden Smith said it changed his life. Well,
Wow.
What? He
also said it was like the best movie ever or something.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Which is okay.
Okay.
You know what? But hey, anything helps. I mean, the Tom Cruise thing is still a little weird to me because it's like, I mean, is there footage? Is there like, what is anybody going to?
Someone's got to ask him that, like
on the red carpet of Dead Reckoning or something like that.
He said that because he's in the Speed Force, where Barry sees him as his version of Iron Man out there.
Clearly,
that's what it is.
I hope it ends up working out for like the publicity wise, like for the movie's box office sake, because I would really hate for like so much hype for this and the movie just because I don't know if you guys saw, but Transformers Rise of the Beast is only projected to like for 30 to 40 million, and I'm like,
it's not projecting well.
Yeah, it's not projecting well. My thought is, because I don't think it's a marketing issue, because the marketing for that movie's been really good. I think
Yeah, it is.
it's the issue of there's just real quick. I was gonna say there's just way too many movies coming out in June. Way too many, and people have to be very selective with the money that they spend.
It wasn't Guardians 3 also.
I think people are just. Sorry, I think people are just sick and tired of the Transformers saga now. Like they were burned out with all the Michael Bay stuff, and now it's like, okay, the new stuff is good, but I'm tired of it.
Well, and wasn't Guardians 3 also not tracking that well? Because it is doing pretty well.
It wasn't. Well, here's the thing: Guardians 3 was tracking, I think, from God, I want to say 90 to 115. It opened at about 110, which that is significantly less than Guardians 2 opened with. But on the bright side, the word of mouth is really good because it's having like a 50% drop, which is like one of the lowest in a while for an MCU.
It's so great too because when I talk to my friend who's over in that world, I mean, he's always very doom and gloom about these movies, and he was like, "It's gonna have a big, massive drop. It's gonna be 70, maybe 75," and then all of a sudden it's like, "No, it's projected at 50, dude. There's nothing that it
which
has,
is really
no
good.
competition.
It's really good.
Oh yeah, that's like in the top. That's like top shit right there.
Well, it's
I
gonna
think good word of mouth and the fact that there was no competition. I mean, the Hypnotic movie from Ben Affleck, nobody was really talking about.
But there was
that.
no marketing for that movie.
Not really. I didn't see
yeah.
one commercial really or anything like that.
It was just like one trailer of it that I saw.
I did.
Yeah, I mean, it looked good, but it was getting mixed reviews.
I
Yeah,
saw it last night. It's not bad. It's kind of like it's a little bit like
I want to see it.
yeah, it's a little bit of an Inception kind of
Yeah.
head trippy kind of detective sort of
Yeah,
story.
I definitely want to see it, but
Yeah.
yes,
But that's just my concern for the box office for the rest of June. It's just like there's every single weekend, like, because think about it, right? Like next weekend, or is it next weekend? Hold up.
Little Mermaid next weekend.
out-
No, not next weekend. Next weekend,
No.
I think there's nothing coming out. But then Little
Still
Mermaid
nothing.
comes out, and then after that,
Indiana
it's like
Jones?
every single week, there's a movie in June coming out. I'm just like,
Ugh.
because Flash, I think, has to deal with what in its second weekend? Indiana Jones, I think.
No,
So-
they got a bit of a gap. They got like 2 weeks between.
Spider-Verse?
Well, there's
Spider-Verse
Spider-Verse,
and
there's
Transformers comes out a week
Transformers, there's
week
Indiana
before.
Jones, there's
Wait.
Flash.
When-
That's a
when-
busy month.
when
That's a
do
busy month.
Oppenheimer and Barbie come out?
Those are out in June.
July 21st.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what
That's
about
another
the
funny one,
Turtles
too.
movie?
That's another funny one too when it comes to Barbie and Oppenheimer going up against each other. And I even saw people like, I mean, obviously Oppenheimer looks fucking amazing, but I remember seeing tweets were like, "Yeah, rest in peace, Barbie." I'm like, no. They're,
You got it wrong. You got it wrong.
That is two different audiences right there. Like people, like families are gonna go see Barbie.
Yeah, those
Okay.
can thrive side by
Oppenheimer
side.
is not that. What?
Yeah, those can thrive right next to each other because it's
They could.
demographics. They're just running parallel.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this. Like, I'll tell you, there's one thing I can guarantee that Oppenheimer will not be: a bomb.
Zing.
But
Bum, bum. It's gonna be one big bomb. No, but I mean, that movie's probably gonna be Oscar contention, maybe.
Oh yeah.
It's definitely gonna be there.
Well, I
something.
think no one's hoping so, because if you remember, I think Dunkirk was supposed to be his big Oscar movie, and that didn't really pan out in awards. So I think Oppenheimer's like, please,
still
can
haven't
I
seen
get some
Dunkirk.
love finally?
I mean, what are the odds that he does not get a bid for Best Actor?
Oh,
Oh,
you mean
Cillian
Cillian
Murphy.
Murphy?
Cillian Murphy.
Yeah.
I think he should be a shoe-in, but who knows? I don't know.
He was
Yeah.
great in Quiet Place too. He was great in Quiet Place too.
That's right. I forgot he was in that.
Yeah.
This might
No,
sound
he's
like
a great
hot
actor.
take. This might sound like a hot take, but post Dark Knight Rises, there a lot of Nolan's, and this isn't like I haven't hated Nolan's post Dark Knight Rises stuff, but it hasn't really done quite as much for me. Like Interstellar wasn't bad, but I wasn't really over the moon about it. Dunkirk,
Zing, over the moon or over the moon.
that was unintentional.
Sorry, I had to point that out.
Yeah, Dunkirk, I wasn't bad, but again, I wasn't maybe
And
just wasn't
Tenet.
the audience for it. And then Tenet, I couldn't make heads or tails of. So,
Some people-
Yeah, well,
yeah,
I was going to
Tenet-
say, when it came to Tenet, I love Tenet. I don't know
So
if
did I.
anyone else
I
did.
love
I
Tenet.
love that
I did
movie.
too. I did too.
But part of it was the emotions of like that being the first movie I saw in theaters after the pandemic too. Because I remember walking in there was so weird. Like, because I remember it's
So
like,
nice.
like there was like sanitation masks. And I was just like, what? And I feel like I'm in like an apocalypse. So it's like, okay, it's like whatever. It's
Oh
just
yeah,
like
I had a
sitting
drive.
down in a big IMAX seat. I'm like, let's do
Yeah.
this, I guess.
Me and my brother and my nephew drove to San Diego, like an hour and a half to San Diego just to watch the movie. because nowhere else was having it. And I was like, hey, San Diego, they're open. They have an IMAX attendant. Do you want to fucking go? And we went on like a Saturday night just to
Nice.
get the fuck out and let's go to a movie. And it was so great.
My first,
But yeah, it was weird. But we still had to wear our masks like within, the theater, which is weird because you just go, take it down, drink, put it back up. What the fuck?
Stupid match.
Yeah.
my first one back in theaters when they opened up was New Mutants, and
Nice.
Uh,
and I was like, and that movie had been shifted around so many freaking times, and I was like, I've been cooped up in here for 5 months. I don't care. I'm getting out of here on a Friday night.
mhm.
Yeah.
That was such a weird thing too, because I remember because I was talking to my dad, it's like, oh, we're gonna go see that because before the pandemic there was Birds of Prey, which we saw, then it was Sonic
Yep.
the Hedgehog. And it's like, oh, next movie we're gonna see that new Pixar movie Onward. It's like, oh no,
I didn't see that one.
Well,
That was the
my-
one with Chris Pratt and
Right.
Tom Holland, right?
yes,
Yep.
it was. Yeah,
Yeah.
And did this happen for any of you guys? 'Cause my theater when it first started opening back up, I mean, they had the way they had it was you could sit in every other row, and they had duct tape kind of.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't have like the theater I was in for Tenet didn't have all the seats filled. There was like gaps. Yeah. Which made no sense either, It's
Wow.
like, none of it made
They were
sense.
back then. I mean, gosh, it feels
Yeah.
like a lifetime ago, but like 3 years ago, they were just trying to anything they could.
Yeah, it's like, all right, we're gonna do it like this, and like even if you were like, this doesn't make sense, they're like, well, that's the way
We have to try.
only way we could do
Well,
it.
Yeah.
That's what was sad about it. It was like it was the only way that they could be open. I mean, that was
Yeah.
And they barely got any attendance.
Mhm. And then, if I remember correctly, what else released in 2020 in theaters? I don't think anything else did.
Wonder Woman 84, and I know that's not following.
Yeah, I didn't see 84 in
It's
theaters.
2020.
Way back was the last movie I saw in theaters.
Yeah.
Before
That's
everything
right.
shut down.
That's right. We talked about that, I think, on the 2 vodka streams ago. That was the last movie that I saw before the pandemic hit too. Was The
Mhm.
Way Back with Ben Affleck, and yeah, then after that, it was just like, okay.
Yeah. So
And-
if I remember correctly, like, because Wonder Woman 84 I saw at home because that was when I was going I went to Christmas and watched
That
with the
ruined
family.
Christmas.
I remember it was Christmas morning. We're all excited after opening presents. Watch Wonder Woman 84 with the whole family. 2 hours later, my dad is pissed off and angry at how bad the movie is. The grandparents are asleep because they were bored to tears. The kids are upstairs running
man.
around. Like, nobody stayed to watch the movie except me and my dad, who were just angry watching it. So,
Yeah, that was an interesting one too because I remember that was when I had COVID actually too. So I couldn't, and that was right around Christmas time. So I could, everybody was trying to stay apart, but we were doing Zoom calls, and we did a Zoom call with I did a Zoom call with my uncle, my aunt, and they were like, so we kept HBO Max for Wonder Woman 84, and we watched it, and yeah, we didn't like it. I went, yeah.
I liked it at first, but that's because I was in denial because I didn't want to think
Well,
I wasted.
I think
kinda
I
have the same
like
thing.
there's things that I
It's
like
not-
about it. There's things
Yeah,
that I
for
like
me, it's
about
like-
it overall.
Yeah. For me, it's like it's entertaining. It's not reprehensible, but I wasn't necessarily expecting it to be super awesome. It's entertaining. Okay, it's filler.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
The thing I liked most was the tone. Was the fact that it had the feel of like the Christopher Reeve Superman movies, and they sort of put Wonder Woman in that. So that's the thing that's sort of held up the best for me. But I'm kind of like Axel, or like I liked it a lot more at first, but I've kind of simmered on it substantially.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's one of those things where it's like, all right, this is not like terrible, but it's not what I was hoping it was going to
I
be.
mean, it's good.
And then when
but
I
it could
watched
be
it, when
better.
I watched it again, I went, "Fuck, man, this doesn't have a good rewatch value." Like, it just there's
No.
certain things that are like,
It does go to show this is what a DCU looks like with Jeff Johns as the boss.
I think these last few years of proof of anything with Jeff Johns is that, well, there's proof of a lot of things with Jeff Johns, but one is that for as great as he is with comics, he's just as bad with movies.
yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah,
We're
just
all-
go
we're
back
all
to
gonna
writing
see
comics
Ant-Man.
that people may not read.
I mean, we had
Jeff Johns comic in years because of all the shit he's pulled. So
Well, yeah, there's that. Well, isn't he writing like a new JSA book?
He's doing
that new
Flashpoint. Or is Flashpoint
Yeah.
Beyond done?
is there a mic I can drop like that DJ did? I
Oh
need
my god, you guys don't even know how friggin' awesome that was. I mean,
That was so
Yeah.
funny.
dude,
Oh,
Phil
that
and I we were sitting next to each other, and we both leaped out of our chairs when that freaking happened. Like, It was just so perfect, so great. I mean, it was so awkward at first too, when that dude was asking about Doomsday Clock, and I mean, we all just kind of looked at each other like, does this guy know that Jeff Johns wrote that?
It's like
Does he
that
know the whole
Riddler
story?
meme. Does he know?
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. And then when DJ did that, man, I mean, we all just lost our fucking.
I think in an event like that, people would probably be predisposed towards having some behind the scenes knowledge of all this.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Well, but some people don't, which is fine. And some people were feeling bad about him, like, oh man, does he feel bad about asking that question? I'm like, no, man, he asked the question to get the ultimate mic drop of the fucking weekend.
I mean, it could have been worse. Worse. He could have asked. I mean, he could have asked that question about Spider-Man.
Yeah, the Spider-Man thing again. Yeah, that guy.
His resume.
That guy got a lot of hell for that. I remember that. But I mean, it made for a
was there a
great
guy
moment.
in a black Superman costume? I should say.
Also, it wasn't just that. Like, people were saying, "Oh, come on, guys, he was nervous. Give him a break." I was like, well, he not only asked him a question that nobody was caring about, he built it up by saying, "I'm about to ask you the question that everybody online wants to know."
Yeah, that was trolling. That you were priming everybody for, like, because everybody watching that, whether they were physically there or streaming at home, everybody knew they knew the question was going to come up about the Snyder Cut. It's during the first event, and when he did that, it's like everybody was kind of on pins and needles, like, okay, this is it, here it comes, and it's about the web slingers.
Ultimate troll. It was an ultimate troll, and he got away with it. And whatever, it's fine. I mean, in retrospect now, I mean, we have the Snyder Cut, and we're all good with it now. So, but when it came to this question, it was just like, hey, he didn't probably know about the behind-the-scenes drama because he wasn't like tuned into it all. And the fact of the matter is, he created, he helped create that mic drop moment, which was just absolutely fantastic, and we all loved it. And we're so glad that DJ was fucking great. I mean, I love how, like, he was very reserved when it came to the Justice League panel, but man, he was not caring, and he was just bringing up the whole Kryptonian and Amazonian idea that they had.
Yeah, well,
them.
Oh my god,
that's where I go to, where I say it's like, I think where Zach, he's still leaving the kind of the trail of breadcrumbs. Maybe not like the way he's on Hero, but and I had a feeling that was going to definitely ruffle some feathers, because they're kind of people on the other side of the conversation are. Really,
I mean, it was
for him to shut up, as they would put it. But I you're talking about somebody who's a storyteller who invested a decade plus of his life into these characters and into the story, and why would you slam that door for as far as like completing this 5-part arc?
Exactly.
It's like you don't know what's going to happen 5 years from now, when you could get a chance to potentially do it, especially with the Flash blowing the multiverse open and releasing and establishing so many different possibilities for Elseworlds and different characters, and if certain rumors are to be believed, different people who might not have gotten the chance to play Superman potentially cameoing in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's always going to have that door just, propped open a little bit. I mean, I will never say that it's never going to happen or anything like that. And the whole, when people say, like you say, move on, I'm like, no, it's just right now for the next, couple of few years, he's going to be working on this other thing. But you just never know what can happen in the future. And it's a good thing that he and James Gunn are friends, regardless of how you feel about Gunn. It's a good thing that they are.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Dave.
I know we can't have that.
No, not only that, but I don't trust you. I thought you edited that video.
Of course I did.
Well,
right?
and here's where I should maybe kind of to ping off of what RJ was saying a little bit about not being the biggest BVS guy, because I'm kind of in a little bit of the opposite side of the equation. I'm not. I've never been that jazzed about the Guardians movies and necessarily about James Gunn's body of work. As a whole. I mean, he's been part of things. Screenwriter on Dawn of the Dead, I love. I really liked Brightburn a lot, and he's done things that I like. I thought Slither was pretty good too. So it's my desire and my advocacy to restore, resolve, however you want to put it, about the Snyderverse. It's not meant to be a diss on James Gunn's capacity to make a Superman movie. It's just,
of course not.
And with the concept of Elseworlds on the multiverse, and that has been opened up via Crisis on Infinite Earths, and it's happening with the Flash. I think we should be very welcoming of that, with the idea that we can get so many different voices guiding these characters, as is the case in the comics. We can get that now in movies, get that in TV. It's it's an opportunity we didn't have, for the longest time, because the idea of these franchises having to be linearly structured, and now that's it's really being so many more possibilities are being opened up. So that's, I kind of wanted to jump in off of that with what you said about BVS earlier, where it's like, I'm not a Guardians guy, I'm not really that big a gun guy, but you know what? I mean, blow me away with the Superman movie you got
Exactly.
coming up.
Yeah, I mean,
and that's what I love, and that's what I love, the fact that there are people like, and you have like these different perspectives, and that's what I love too, is having discussions and about that, is the fact that we're all coming from different tastes, and quoting Ray, everything's can be subjective and everything, and whatever you like, but it's just like when you have like the people that just go so hard in the paint, like especially this past week when it came to BVS, but then you have someone like RJ who didn't really, he thought, he likes the movie, it's fine. But he can even recognize that, man, some of these people just like, what, 7 years later, you're still fucking like,
no,
Talk
all
about
hot
it
and bothered
more
about
than
this
Black
shit.
Adam,
Yeah.
Shazam, all those.
no,
Yeah.
and that's why it gets annoying for me too, because I'm like, I'm someone who doesn't like BVS all that much, and even I'm like, can you guys just shut up, please? Like, it's been
Yeah,
7
exactly.
years, just let them have their movie.
like, it requires much more effort to constantly talk about something you hate than to constantly talk about something you love.
Yeah, no, that's
That's why I
100% true.
Which is why you haven't heard a peep about me about Captain Marvel since it came out.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know. That's the whole thing. And like when it comes to the Superman Legacy thing, it's just
Exactly.
it goes back to what I said earlier, where it's just like, to me, as someone who likes James Gunn and his work, like personally speaking, I think watching each of the Guardians movies, you see how he's evolving and maturing and growing as a director, growing in confidence. I don't know if people who don't like those movies are going to see the same thing. But I can kind of see that he's growing and changing, where I'm like, yeah, I can see him making a Superman movie.
Yeah.
It's going to be a different wheelhouse for him, but he's going to try. He said he's going to be, go for like the full-blown earnestness. It's not going to be the same tone. It's going to be something a bit more earnest and hopeful and
No,
true to
man,
the
it's gonna be a
character.
bunch of dick and fart jokes.
I know.
See, that one shot action scene in the Guardians in the hallway,
so
that was
good.
pretty fucking awesome.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that was
and
worth
then-
the whole movie right there.
Dude,
Yeah,
and
and then
it goes on for a bit too. Like I was going,
That was like the Daredevil fight scenes.
dude.
It was
I mean,
great.
obviously with this one, it requires VFX and all the kind of stuff like that. But I mean, I thought, I was just watching it going, holy shit. I mean, obviously there's some scene, there's cuts in here somewhere, but I'm not seeing them. I'd have to watch again and look closely to see like where they possibly did their cuts or whatever. But it was so fucking seamless, and it lasted for so long. And I was like, oh man, I'm like, wow, good job with that.
Well, I was
scene.
gonna say too. I don't know if you guys saw the quote from the Guardians 3 press tour, but I think someone asked him. I don't remember what the exact question was. I think it was something like, "What do you want people to walk away from with your movies, or like in a movie in general?" And
I like
he kind
what
of
he
just
said.
goes about like what he hopes when people leave the theater and like the kind of experience he wants to create. I'm like, that's a good answer. That's something that
It was
like
a really good answer.
that was a really
know
good
what
answer. I'm
needs
just
to
like, oh, that's a good thing to say.
Like, what needs to happen with Superman Legacy is that he needs to be talked about. He needs to have that people need to talk about, because no one's talking about like I know people are still talking about Guardians of the Galaxy 3 because it just came out, but like it can't be a Shazam, Fear of the Gods. It can't be a Black Adam. It has to be talked about.
Well,
I
not
think
only
in the,
that,
I think in the
Axel-
case of Guardians 3, that's plausible because of the fact it's got such a strong story regarding Rocket Raccoon. I don't think the other two kind of can top it in that regard. I mean, 2 does have the death of Yondu. That was pretty, memorable, right?
That's
It had Taser Face. Yeah,
that's Michael Rooker. I can never remember Michael Rooker's name in the guard. I just saw it was called the Blue Travis Bickle. I can.
Well, here's the other
I can never
part.
remember
though.
his name for some reason.
Yeah.
I was gonna say but the other part, Axel, too. The issue is too, and this is like, it's gonna sound like dumb, but like it's true. The hardest thing that movie has to accomplish is it has to be good.
Yeah.
Like, and what I mean by that is, it's like, this is the issue when you're starting off with the cinematic universe. Like, that first movie's so important, because
Like
if it's
Iron
like,
Man, that's gotta.
well,
be,
that's what I was gonna
that
say.
was
Like the
important.
Iron Man comparison, I can't find one person who like vehemently hates or dislikes the first Iron Man.
Right?
Like that's just a universally
Universally,
at
yeah.
the base level liked movie. Most people still think it's one of the best Marvel movies,
I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
so.
and that's the
That's the
hard
top
part.
five.
Like you have to slam dunk this movie so hard to where nobody can come away from this being like, "Oh, that was a bad movie." Like you have to make, and it's very hard, but almost like a universally like either okay or well liked movie. I mean,
See,
the
what the
goal,
good-
of course, is to make a good movie every time, but like
The good thing about it though is like James Gunn is just he has free range to do whatever the fuck. So we're not going to get suits in the studio going, no, you got to make it like this, like this, like this, like this. They ain't going to say shit. It's all going to be like James Gunn. Like when it came to he even said when he wrote a script, he reached out to people who are who have written Superman and all this stuff. Give me notes. Give me notes. Give me notes. So he's reached out for that, which I love the fact that he, admitted and said that, like, yeah, that's part of writing, getting notes and getting critique from people. And I love the fact that he's doing that. So, but the fact of the matter is like, there's not going to be any studio fuckery, which is kind of funny because when you think of like a movie like Morbius, it's like that movie got fucked over by the studio too.
I still haven't
such
seen
a
that
small
movie.
character. Now you got Superman. Thank God that we're going to have one vision all the way through, start to finish. It's going to be a James Gunn film, and regardless of what you like it or not, at least it's going to be one vision throughout, and it's not going to be chopped up and fucked up.
Kind of in a way. I mean, I don't remember the exact details, but kind of similar a little bit to that first Richard Donner Superman movie, where it feels like Richard Donner got to do whatever basically he wanted,
Yeah.
But I was going to bring up Nerdy Mastermind's point too, because that's like kind of what I'm saying too, but I didn't want to be a jerk about it. But it was kind of true. Like I liked Man of Steel, but for whatever reason that movie came out, it was like heavily not BVS levels, but it was divisive to some people.
Yeah,
it's more universally liked, but like because that was the first movie, the fact that it started off divisive a little bit kind of hurt it a little bit. Which isn't fair to that movie. It's not fair to that movie or the DCU or Zack.
I don't know if anybody else here saw it a few days ago on Twitter. I forget this gentleman's name, but he was a film journalist, and he had made it was right as Guardians was coming out, and he made this this thread about, well, I don't understand like the animosity Snyder fans hold towards James Gunn, and he went through kind of a whole sort of, and I mean that erupted like in a whole thread war, but as you would expect. But I kind of jumped in and gave my 2 cents. For my opinions, I don't think it really has a lot to do with Gunn himself. I think it has more to do with the fact that really the contrast between how he and Snyder really were sort of covered the media with, and what I mean by that is Gunn had his situation where he got fired for his old tweets, and but then he got to come back in glory and finish his franchise, and Zack, the idea of him getting this, finishing his arc, much less even getting the Snyder cut out in the first place, is really was considerable pushback on that. And I raised the point where if Zack had made those kinds of tweets, would he have gotten the same kind of sympathy? And
there is that, but at least like when it comes to Gunn and Snyder, they both had their redemption stories. They really did. Like different stories for sure, way different stories, but they both got a redemption story in the past 5 years. I mean, they really did. With Gunn being fired and then all of a sudden coming over to DC and then basically just like coming back and realizing, Snyder's, story when it came to that, I mean, it was much more like, whoa. I mean, it was just, obviously they're not the same at all, but at the same time, they did both get their redemption stories, which I think is, is pretty cool. I still remember, I was like I remember the restaurant I was at when the news came out that Gunn was fired, and I remember just like talking with some coworkers I was having lunch with that were kind of in the know about it. It was just like, it was weird, like just to be like, yeah, James Gunn just for old tweets got fired from Disney, and now it was just such a weird thing. It was a
really weird
situation.
I think when I think about the whole situation with James, you guys have me put my controller down. That's how intrigued I am by this whole notion. Not to say that the conversation isn't boring or anything, but it's like this game is amazing. Anyway, when it comes to James Gunn and Zack Snyder in regards to how they handled the DC universe, I think what the divisive line, it's you're either on the side of it or you're not. And the bottom line is James Gunn is getting to do what Zack Snyder should have been allowed to do.
Yeah.
James Gunn has the entire autonomy to do whatever the hell he wants.
That's what I was saying.
To create the universe that he can it is well within his creative right to do. And I think that idea, depending on how you feel about Zack and how the situation with WB and how the situation has gone since he's stepped away from DC, you know, looking at James Gunn, he comes in with Suicide Squad, depending on how you feel about that, and then Peacemaker. I think a lot of people who are very, very hardcore in Zack Snyder's corner and are vehemently against James Gunn are just looking at this like, oh, fuck, everything I love is about to just be completely shambled and destroyed. Right? That's kind of the hyperbolic way they're looking at it. But it's like, well, yeah,
especially you consider that Zack's story is not meant to be like, you know, like an MCU like 30 movie franchise. It's
Right.
5 with some spin-offs.
He wanted to have a couple of books. That's about
and to
it.
be honest, I don't even think James Gunn is aiming for some 30, 40, 50 movie franchise, because he mentioned that, no, I want my stuff to be more like Star Wars. And I'm like, okay, that can go one of two ways, because you're either going to do it in a semi-periodical piece, and that can be very good and very different, or we run into what we're dealing with right now with like Book of Boba Fett, Mandalorian Season 3, where it's more of the same.
Yeah, can be rough, but we got somebody else coming in right now. We got Doug joining right now. What's going on, Doug?
Doug,
hey, Dave. How's it going?
Good. How you doing?
Good.
We're just doing some talking about, you know, James Gunn, Zack Snyder, the usual.
Sure.
Yeah.
And
What was
BBS, Score's going radioactive on Twitter.
Yeah. I mean, and of course, the big thing, the conclusion that we can all agree on is that, look, Warner Brothers, well, certainly with the new regime, Warner Brothers has learned from the mistakes of the past. It's too bad that they have to do it with a new director instead of just doing it with Zack, but it is what it is.
Indeed.
What was the consensus on Guardians 3?
We all enjoyed it. Everybody who's seen it, we all enjoyed it. So.
I liked it, but to just chime in on an earlier point, it did not move the needle for me in regards to James Gunn doing Superman. Like, that movie is going to have to be so completely different, but at the same time, like, I don't know what it's going to take for me for that movie to win me over. Honestly, I'm more intrigued about what he's got going on with the rest of his slate, more specifically Batman Brave and the Bold.
Oh, I want to see that so badly.
Because it's Batman. Because it's Batman. And it's Robin. Batman and Robin. It's like, okay, cool. Finally, someone's doing Batman and Robin on the big screen in 20 effing years. It's been too long. This needs to be a thing. And if they do the whole family, cool. I'm cool. But I'm really, really more intrigued with everything else he's got going on his slate, because everything I'm seeing so far of Superman Legacy, I'm just like, all right.
I thought Guardian 3 was okay, and it's like I'm giving James Gunn, you know, it's like, yeah, go for it, man, but I still want him to restore the Snyderverse. That's kind of the way I see it.
Yeah.
How are you feeling, Doug? Did you watch Guardians?
Yeah, I definitely liked Guardians 3. Probably not as much as the first one, but more than the second one. I thought it was, really satisfying conclusion, and he did produce a tight trilogy there. There were definitely some of the, really hammy James Gunn moments, and there was definitely some parts that were underbaked. But all in all, I think that this is obviously he's a very, very good creative. I think he's a very good director. I think he's, a good writer. I think he can do something interesting with. To answer the question, I think it kind of upped my estimation of Superman. I think he's definitely not going to try to recreate what Zack did with Man of Steel. I think he's going to do something different. I think he's going to expand the family. I think he's going to do something pretty interesting, and I'm interested to see the take, because I want to see another Superman movie. I mean, obviously, my first pick would be Man of Steel 2 or Justice League 2 and 3, but that ship has pretty much sailed. So I'm very interested in what James Gunn has to offer, because he's going to be thoughtful about it. He's going to be heartwarming. I think the heart, the family, the emotional connection in these really just crazy worlds, I think he can do and do well. And I think he can expand the family and do what I think he will do with Batman Brave and the Bold, and expand the family. And we've seen Batman done a variety of different ways, and we focus on the villains, we focus on Batman. But I think the Bat family is something where they could really strike something really good. And I think expanding the Superman universe, seeing some of these other characters, seeing Bibbo and Steel and Jimmy Olsen, and and
Yeah.
just really expanding that beyond, seeing a Superboy, seeing a Crypto. I think those are things that could be really unique to really expand. It's not just Superman and Lois. So my confidence is high. Mostly it's because, I just want to see another Superman movie, but maybe it's blind optimism, but I trust James Gunn, and we'll see what happens.
Well, I mean, there's uncharted territory. No matter how, I mean, like, that's the thing is, like, there's uncharted territory with Superman, and we were talking about how, implementing crypto into a story is uncharted territory already off the bat. So the fact that if they're going to incorporate crypto, cool, that's uncharted territory, because we haven't seen that live action with all these Superman movies that we have. I mean, we've seen crypto live action in Titans and whatever the hell, but when it comes to even Batman, we're going to get a fantastical Batman. Usually, I mean, we got a kind of fantastical Batman at first, and then, of course, with the Schumacher, it got even more fantastical, sure. But, I mean, then when it came to Nolan, it was not fantastical. And then when it came to even Snyder, it was like he was still trying to ground him, but then, there's still fantastical elements, obviously.
He had Killer
You
Croc.
could clearly see that Ben Affleck's Batman had been through a ringer. I mean, he explicitly tells Wonder Woman, "I've known a few women like you," and she says, "Oh, I don't think you've known a woman like me." Now that answer could be interpreted, well, Catwoman, Poison Ivy, Roxy Rocket. There's
Harley,
Phantasm.
Andrea Beaumont is also on a contender.
Could be on there. You never know.
That Phantasm line in BVS in the back.
Yeah, there's a little Easter egg.
Right.
No, I think that movie could be canon in the Snyderverse. That's just me.
But I mean, but at the same time, it's like when you watch Justice League, and I remember even just watching it at full circle. It's like there are fantastical. I mean, obviously, it gets fantastical with Batman in there. I mean, that's the thing. It's like Zach did a good job of like. I mean, when he and again, I do wish I would have asked him about this when I did my commentary with him at the start of Man of Steel. It was like, just to have somebody like Christopher Nolan come up to you and be like, "Hey, they want what I did with Batman with Superman. I don't think that's me. I think you could do it." And the fact of the matter is like, okay, yeah, you can ground it as much as you can, which I think Zach did a great job. But at the same time, these are still fantastical characters that you still have to have, this fantastical element. Even Batman. I mean, let's face it, when you watch the fight between Batman and Superman, he gets, Superman takes him through a fucking building and throws him at the bat signal. Right. That's broken bones. That's all kinds of craziness. But it made for just good comic book action. I fucking love that shot so much, where it just goes up and you see him when he just hits the bat signal, and then he's on the edge, and the camera just goes up and you see Superman landing. As it's such a beautiful shot. I fucking love that shot.
Can I go on a bit of a brief rant here?
Go ahead.
Which is the thing. One of the criticisms just drives me up a wall about Man of Steel is this idea Superman doesn't save anybody. And to that I say, the first thing you see him do in that movie is go on that oil rig and pull 20, 30 guys off of there. And then we have that flashback to that bus scene when he was a kid.
He saved so many people.
And then he gets to the bar where he's intervening with the one trucker. So before he said a single word of dialogue, he's probably saved about 30 to 40 lives.
Yeah, I don't understand that gripe. It's like, did you watch the movie? I mean, he even saved he saves one of the military guys in the Smallville fight. He grabs him. I mean, it's just so.
He even
crazy
asks if he's all right. But no,
it's
just needs to save a fucking cat out of the tree.
Yeah, and it's so many of these complaints that people give about Man of Steel, BVS, or whatever. It's like, did you even watch the movie? What your issues were literally addressed in the movie? Were you even paying attention? Of course, the big one in Man of Steel was how dare he kill Zod? Well, it's like Zod literally says in the movie, either you die or I do.
And he kills, and Superman kills Zod and Superman too.
Yeah. But it was
not only did he kill Zod and Superman too, he depowers him and then kills him when he's no longer dead.
And I love Superman too.
Yeah, it's great.
But then people will say, "Well, but he doesn't do that." The Donner Cut's a mess, and you know it.
I think
somehow
Superman
the
2 is a
police-
mess. Period. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But that's
Somehow
just
the
my
police
opinion.
end up in the Arctic. Yeah. Okay.
I had
Now,
to get that
it-
off my chest because that has been driving me insane for 10 years. This idea that he doesn't save anybody in Man of Steel.
I know. I don't
I
understand.
hate that criticism.
That's
Doesn't
just
make any sense at all.
people. That is people that just want to just hate it. And when they bring up that argument, when they bring up the Batman killing argument, I just go like, all right, you didn't pay attention. Like, and that's even going back to what started the whole BVS discourse this week was the quotes about like Zack saying like, yeah, you know, we were trying to do this deconstructive, you know, mythological like story arc that you have to really kind of pay attention to with certain things, and some people just wanted this superhero romp. And I brought up last night that with Rebecca, I'm like, you know, I mean, we got to remember that this movie came out right in the fucking heart of the Marvel machine.
That it did.
You know, and I mean, that's the thing. It's like, and even though, like, yeah, people might have knew that, like, yeah, okay, this is Zack Snyder, and especially if they saw Man of Steel, it's going to be a little bit more gritty or more dark, you know, darker and everything like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, even when they knew what they were getting into, they still came out going, "What the fuck was that?" And that's what's so funny because I had somebody, you know, push back on my tweet when I posted my clip, and I already knew. I was like, if I get into this is like, there's going to be other people that come in here. And it's just gonna be. I don't feel like fucking going on a Twitter like back and forth right now. And it was somebody,
It's so funny.
who actually, you know, works on Batman on film. And nothing against him. I get it. Like he had his gripes about certain things, and fine. And
Really?
at the same time, I know, right?
Really?
Yeah, I think
Those guys,
Phil's
can you
Phil's
believe
gonna
it?
hold it all in right
Which
now.
one?
Yes, we would say.
Which
I'm
one?
not gonna say when it wasn't the main, wasn't
Okay.
it wasn't who we thought. But it was somebody who does work on that because you know
Put it in private chat.
he quote tweeted the clip and it was like literally no one said this. And my whole thing was like literally, you just say literally, like
Okay.
don't say
I
literally
think
because
I know which one you're talking about.
yeah.
That
Let's just say when the test screenings were going out, I think a lot of people were saying, "Hey, it's very complex, it's layered." And I remember seeing, and it may have been on Batman film, that was like some people like water, some people like wine, and the Batman versus Superman was never going to be an easy sell. It was, Zach himself said, we felt like we snuck one by the theater, like snuck one by the studio, and the fact that they thought it'd be this easy superhero romp back then, and I like how he said that, but it was complex, it was layered, and we're still arguing about it so many years later. But it's such a masterful film that, I think, you know, for better or for worse, I think, you know, James Gunn will deliver something a little bit more accessible, but maybe we're not going to be talking about it 10 years later, and that's the greatness of Zack Snyder, and
But at the same
the
time,
commercial
I hope that we
success
are.
that. Yeah, exactly.
I hope that we are, like, no matter what, like I always, and you know, one of the things when it comes to this stuff is the fact that, like, I always, like, people will be like, you know, and I get it. People have their favorites and they'll be like, you know, no one will ever touch this or no one will ever beat this. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I get it. Like Ben Affleck's my cinematic Batman, my favorite. Okay. And I'm thinking that's going to be hard to defeat that. But I want every filmmaker that approaches Batman to try to defeat that. I was hoping that, hey, maybe Pattinson and what Matt Reeves is doing, I hope that's going to be better than Ben Affleck's Batman. Was it? No. I mean, I still was like, Ben Affleck's Batman is just still my, you know, that's my pinnacle fucking cinematic Batman. But it was close. I still really dig it. Hey, guess what? Matt Reeves, Pattinson, guess what? You did a great job. You gave me something unique, and I fucking loved it. And it was like one of my favorite movies of last year. But I always want the next filmmaker, the next person. I want James Gunn to make a better movie than Man of Steel. Is it going to happen? Hey, odds are not, but I hope that he does. I want to walk out going, man, fuck, that was better than Man of Steel. But I don't know if that's
I gotta ask Dave. Let's ask the whole panel about this. What would have to happen in Gunn's Superman film for you to say this is better than Man of Steel?
He's going to have to show me. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what it has to be for me to think that. And like I said, the odds are, you know, sorely against that. It's not going to be the case for sure. And But at the same time, I'm just kind of like, you know, if he can show me something that I just was not expecting, and a story that just totally grabs me, where I just walk out, and I will be completely honest too, because I'm one of those guys that try to be like that. I don't like to, you know, dip into my. I get it. Everybody has bias, and I'm biased with like Snyder stuff, but at the same time, I'm like, but I even would think that these filmmakers, even Zach and everybody, would say like, yeah, make a better movie than I did. I mean, if it's your turn to take on these characters, yeah, do something different and better than I did, and hopefully, you know, it's well received. Nolan probably thinks the same thing too, and I just, as a moviegoer and as somebody who loves just watching film and discussing film, I always want it to be better. I'm never going to just be like, no, never. It's never going to be better than this. And then just dwell on just like one, you know, I don't like that.
I would kind of say that too, because this was something that Mr. Stephen Colbert, you know, my colleague at Screen Rant, take a little drink. A point he made where he was talking about, you know, the most boring conversation you can have about a movie is whether it's good or bad. So my personal take on it is I don't even necessarily would be. I'd rather if he can make a Superman movie that stands on its own terms, where I feel like this is a unique take on the character that stands on its own, and that I can enjoy it without having to think about, you know, other versions of Superman. That would be my preference. I'm not really concerned about it exceeding, you know, anything, you know, previously. It's like I rather just, I mean, because I didn't think I would get into Superman and Lois as much as I have. Because Tyler Hoechlin was, you know, on the Arrowverse was definitely you know, he didn't really shine on there for me, but he really won me over with Superman and Lois. So, you know, and that's really like a big kind of almost like a it's really, if you haven't seen the show, it's a really it's an interesting take where it's like it's kind of honoring like Superman's entire history with, you know,
I mean, I've only seen season 1, and I still need to catch up on the rest, and I know it gets better and better, but I was impressed because when I saw episodes where he was just, you know, he was part of Supergirl, I was like, and this is just like who cares about this Superman? They're just like having it because it's just Superman. But then when it came to the first season of Superman and Lois, I was very impressed. And I don't know. I just haven't. I'm gonna dive into the rest of the season because apparently it might not be coming back. Hopefully they could salvage it. But I'm gonna dive into it more because I keep hearing just great things about it.
I will say, like, as I've said before, like the big reason I haven't really bothered to check out the show is because Jeff Johns was involved. But honestly, if it is as good as everyone says, it just goes to show that, look, he may be good at comics, he's not good at movies, but maybe he's good at shows. Maybe shows are his thing.
I don't know, but I mean, I know there's things that take heavily from what even Zach tried to put out there, like that there are some like parallels, like with certain things, story points,
even
or
like the
just
producers
visual.
of the show, like even stated that Man of Steel inspired.
Yeah,
you just can't miss it. Yeah,
I was gonna say for me at least,
Smallville, it's got a lot of
let's just circle back to what was said about like what he has to do per se to make it better. I don't know if there's like any like one specific thing that has to be done per se. Exactly. It's more so just like, can that film and can when he does a Superman fill the audience with the awe and the wonder that a Superman movie should? Can it instill the values of the character upon the audience? Can it make? I think the biggest thing that movie has to achieve is, can it create an emotional connection? Whether that be like the awe and wonderment that some people will feel watching it about what they're witnessing on the screen, or the emotional connection that they'll have with the actual main character of Clark Kent, Superman. If he can nail that emotional part of it and really instill upon the audience that sense of emotional connection and awe and wonderment, I think it'll be okay. I think it'll do fine.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Hold on, Phil has to go. I know.
I got to record a podcast episode with my buddy Craig. I'm gonna put the game down and
yeah.
But thanks again.
Hey, you warmed up your voice with this stream.
So. I did. I'm probably gonna talk about some of the same stuff we were just talking about.
There you go.
Yeah, it's always.
All right, thanks for joining, Phil. Thank you for helping support the channel and all that stuff. I appreciate it, man.
Much love, gents. Take it easy. Have a great night.
Take it
See
easy.
you, Phil.
See
I'm
ya.
probably gonna get heading out as well because I gotta take a shower and get. Tomorrow is Mother's Day after all, so
That is true. Yeah, I know. I got
This
a
weekend was
Mother's
my
Day
mother's
thing that's
birthday,
happening
actually.
too.
Oh, really? Your mom's
Yeah,
birthday
well-
is on Mother's Day.
Yeah.
That's funny.
But yeah, if you have to take off,
I'll
RJ,
go
we'll go
like-
ahead, take off, and then yeah, we'll probably be wrapping up the stream, and
Yeah,
pretty
no, of
soon.
course.
Yeah.
I just wants to thank you guys for having me and keep having that great conversation.
Yeah, thank you, RJ. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, it's funny thing is like what he just said about making sure that this Superman, this Clark, is someone that everyone we can see like his greatness and grandiose. Like there's something that James Gunn said that I think a lot of people are really misinterpreting when he said that this Clark has to be someone that you'd want to hug. And people are like, "Oh, that's just sappy." It's like, no. I mean, what that sounds like to me is he wants to emphasize, much like how Zach did with Henry Cavill did, want to emphasize Clark's vulnerability.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he's somebody that you like and that you root for. But when he's struggling, you can tell that he's struggling. But you're rooting for him and you want him to say, "Hey, man, you got this."
What's going to be interesting too is like how much Clark Kent that he actually has in his movie, because
Yeah.
I mean, like when it came to Zach using Clark Kent, I mean, obviously, like he had Clark as a character, but that was before the Clark Kent persona. We didn't get the Clark Kent persona when it came to Man of Steel until obviously the very end, with glasses and everything like that. So when it came to BVS, we got the more Clark Kent persona, but even at that time, there wasn't there was like. There was stuff to flesh out, like especially when it came to when we finally saw the Ultimate Edition, we had more scenes with Clark. But I mean, I don't think he ever had like the full on, obviously he didn't have a full on movie to concentrate on fleshing out the Clark Kent character. So what Gunn really needs to do is make sure that Clark Kent character that he has is very likable and people connect with him and that's
just don't
gonna be
make him
big.
like a huge doofus.
No, don't make him like how it was. I mean, and nothing against Brandon Routh. He did a fantastic job of emulating what Christopher Reeve did, but don't make him like that. But you can make him dorky, or obviously he's got to be some kind of, he's got to be something like that. But yeah, you just got to make sure, like, hey, just make him likable. I mean, likable is the biggest thing. And then, of course, when he's Superman, also, make sure obviously Superman's also likable. But yeah, that's gonna be a difficult task, I think. For
So that I want to add too. This isn't so much about Superman himself; it's more about Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
Because one of the articles I saw come out today recently, kind of an interesting point. I think it does make me wonder whether this might just kind of dovetail with the multiverse elements of Flash. It said, and I think this was one in the Hollywood Reporter, where it says something like on the casting sheet or on the way it's scripted or described, like Lex is listed as Apex, and they made the point where it's like Apex Lex Luthor. That's the version that had encounters with other Lex Luthors of other Elseworlds, and that made me think: is this maybe is Gunn, is he intending to sort of, because I mean he's going to, I'm sure, find some way to branch off from the multiverse story of the Flash, and this is maybe like an avenue he's using to do that.
Interesting. See, and that's another thing too, is like, Gunn has expressed so much love for the Flash, and it just kind of makes me wonder too. It's like, as much as he loves that, I'm just wondering, like, how much is he utilizing that multiverse space for his slate? That's what I kind of wonder myself too, because he just, with the other movies, he's tried to like lift him up a little bit. But I mean, he just really just goes, I love this movie. And then when you see the reaction of everybody else, like a lot of other reactions that say they love this movie, and again, we got Jaden Smith today, Al Roker. We got these people out there that are just like saying how much they love the Flash, and it's like, okay. And then everybody's just kind of going like, yeah, but isn't it just kind of wrapping things up? I mean, and then William, who's been here many times, he's talked about like how do you not try to capitalize on what the Flash establishes? So then you kind of go like, well, maybe they kind of are, like maybe there's a way that James Gunn is going to be tapping into something where he can tap into what the Flash is starting with the whole multiverse and keeping that concept open. I don't know. It's just it's everything's so up in the air. It's exciting, but it's also just like I want to fucking know, like what's going on, you know.
And another point with
Yeah.
Lex Luthor also, has anybody here read the Superman graphic novels?
Birth what?
Superman Earth 1. Have you read any of those?
I've read a bit of
Yeah.
it.
I don't know
Yeah,
if I have.
you should give those a read, especially because it's so crazy how closely it's basically the basis for Man of Steel. I mean, it's so
Oh, okay, yes. Yeah, because I remember back like years ago talking about that, and then there was like, and when people were trying to reference, because doesn't that, I think there was like things, was the there was things that there were story points that were pulled from there too, and I remember doing a video about it, I think. But I
Yeah.
forgot exactly like what he pulled from that. There's certain things that wasn't like the Genesis chamber and all that stuff kind
Yeah.
of like, yeah.
The basic kind of skeleton of the story
Yes.
is basically what Man of Steel is. But in Volume 3, they introduced Lex Luthor as a female Lex Luthor. They introduced in it, and I saw somebody on Twitter post today something because Gunn has talked about he's had a conversation with somebody from Guardians about potentially bringing them aboard as maybe as Lex Luthor. And somebody did this Photoshop of Karen Gillan with a shaved head, and I thought, that could be
No,
Yeah.
I think he actually.
Not in Faith J-Pep because she's not bald in Earth 1, but as I recall, she's a bit of a bombshell.
Of course, you gotta be.
Yeah.
Just like, Lex Luthor. He could. I mean, depending. But like, right now, Scott and I, after this weekend, we're gonna be wrapping up. We're gonna go back to Batman, talking about Batman animated, but we're gonna be starting to talk about Superman animated series. And let's face it, that Lex Luthor. I mean, that was like we even talked about it, how I always forget the guy
Clancy
who.
Brown.
There you go. Yeah. Who voiced him, and it was just like, and it was a different kind of Lex Luthor, and it wasn't even a white Lex Luthor, he had a little bit of a shade to him, and it was different. That's why it was always funny too, because after that, everybody was like, why doesn't Billy Zane play like a live action?
I was fan casting him pre Man of Steel.
Oh yeah, everybody was.
Yes.
Everybody was, because
It was him.
he
It
looks
was
good
him.
bald, and he
It was
looked
him.
like this. He looked like the animated series Lex Luthor. So because everybody loved that fucking show, and I'm like, yeah, I was for it too.
Yeah, it was two,
There are
two
people-
guys. It was two guys for me. It was Billy Zane and it was Arnold Vosloo were my casting guys.
Yeah.
Interesting.
There are people who said, why not just cast Clancy Brown? But I was like, well,
And
kind of old.
he doesn't really look the part, but I love the fact that he's Maroni. He's Boss Maroni, and right, it's Clancy Brown,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
That is.
By the way,
Boss
how's this one sound to you guys? Pre Man of
Okay.
Steel, that I remember my fan cast for General Zod was Hugo Weaving.
Ooh,
Oh, yeah.
not bad.
Because I was thinking in terms of Kneel Before Zod. I mean, it was a very different route that Zach took. I mean, I loved it, but that was kind of the fan casting in my head. But
Yeah.
No, he would have been good, Zod. Yeah.
I remember watching Matrix
I'm
3
sure
and
he would have
saying,
hated.
this is how a Superman
Dude.
battle should be.
Dude, Doug, same thing. When I walked out of when we walked out of Revolutions,
Yep.
like me and my friends were going like, "Where's our Superman movie?" That was
Yeah.
they just showed you how to do a fucking Superman movie right there. And this is before Superman Returns.
Right.
And then when we got Superman Returns, we didn't get anything of that nature of him fighting somebody in the air. We just got him lifting up an island into the air.
I mean,
He didn't throw a punch.
Yeah. I mean, even Matrix Revolution aside, I mean, like even in the last Harry Potter, the way when Harry and Voldemort are
Yes.
fighting, they're fighting in the air. I mean,
Yeah.
and I watched that, and I'm like, okay, which came first, Deathly Hallows Part 2 or Man of Steel? Because one of them's clearly taken from the other.
Mhm.
And what's funny too is like, I mean, we all know who did those Superman VFX. Who was the VFX supervisor with the Matrix? DJ. I mean, that's
Yeah.
what's, I mean, the fact of the matter is he laid, and I think that's like, we've talked about that on the Vodka stream. Stevens brought it up, is the fact that, DJ he was the VFX supervisor on the Matrix movies. So then, when it came to Zach finally taking up Man of Steel, I mean, you could see man, when you watch Revolutions, and yeah, like you said, you see that scene of them just fighting. I mean, like, my God, there's so many there's things that they utilized in there too. I remember when people are doing that fandom thing where they were saying like Captain Marvel copied Man of Steel when they zero in on like the showdown between two characters and they zero in on their fists as they like are looking at each other, and I'm like, fucking guys, like Matrix did that. That's been done to death. But look at even the Matrix did that, and I'm like,
Captain
like,
Marvel copied Man of Steel would have been a better movie.
For what?
If Captain Marvel copied Man of Steel, would have been a better movie.
Right? Exactly. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I only watched that movie once, and that's all I needed to watch.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that the second one's going to be better. It looks like it's going to be better, hopefully, but
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, Doug, you don't think so?
I went to see Guardians 3, and I'm like, I text a buddy. He's like, "What did you think?" And I go, "Well, I really liked it. I'll talk to you more. I know this. Indiana Jones 5 looked awesome, and the Marvels looks terrible."
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that is one I'm judging by the.
I mean, you got, like,
prove me
more
wrong,
than just
please,
one
but
Captain
Please,
Marvel.
right?
judging by the trailer, Marvels looks
you've got-
terrible.
I mean, the only thing that's going to save it for, I really like Miss Marvel.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that, but there's some things in that trailer I'm like, oh boy.
You've got Carol Danvers, Kamala Harris, and Monica Rambeau.
Did you say Kamala Harris?
Oh God.
Kamala Khan.
Shit. Sorry.
Yeah. I'm like, wait, the vice president of the United States
Sorry.
is in that movie? No, it's fine. It's
Yeah,
fine.
the one with the stupid cackle.
The trailer was really rough.
Yeah,
And
it's a little rough.
The was good, but yeah.
But I mean, the concept is interesting because of
Yeah.
how whatever
It's
their
got
connection.
It kind of reminds me of Fantastic Four, the two, when they had when
Oh yeah, when they were like switching powers, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, that was actually
Yeah.
kind of funny. I mean, it was cheesy.
Marvel,
But,
I'm like, when do we get some news about the sequel to No Way Home?
See, yeah, you talking about the next Spider-Man?
Yeah.
Yeah, that I know. What I don't know what's taking so long. I mean, I guess it's just because the whole Sony fucking thing. Who knows? But I mean, when are they gonna? I mean, when are they gonna finally? I guess Comic-Con. We're gonna probably find out about the Fantastic Four. We're gonna find about X-Men maybe, and then Spider-Man. I mean, if Marvel really wants to bring the goods to Comic-Con, you're gonna have to bring the fact that all right, start talking about your Spider-Man movies and say, Tom Holland, we got a new trilogy coming out. Maybe we're going to have like this character and this character. He's on his own. It's going to be great. And then, hey, start going, okay, we got Fantastic Four. This is who's playing them. And then I guess and then of course maybe start. I don't know how much they could do with X-Men yet. I know there's legalities when it comes to that. I don't know.
The first thing is probably going to be Hugh Jackman and Wolverine to do anything with the X-Men.
Yeah, true. I forget that. Of course, he's back in
Deadpool.
Yeah, Deadpool. Sorry.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see but I mean, I think I imagine that Comic-Con for them is just going to be you're going to have to bring the goods when it comes to Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, and X-Men.
Yeah, I mean we're getting there. I mean we have our Reed Richards in Adam Driver. That's just
It's not confirmed yet, though.
No, but he did. But the way like Driver's been talking about it, he's all but said, "Yeah, I am doing Reed Richards." Like he said, he was offered the two, and he had to pick one, so he picked Reed.
Really, there's a quote for that? I didn't even see the quote.
Love it. Like he said, like didn't he say like he was offered Victor Von Doom and he was offered Reed Richards, but he's like, look, I
read a headline that said that he was, but I didn't know if there was an actual quote from Adam Driver that actually said that.
Yeah, something.
Not
sure.
Also with Marvel, you know what movie is really getting screwed by the writer's strike and being screwed over and over is
Blade. Yes.
I mean,
Blade is getting fucked.
I made the joke with a friend earlier where it's like Blade has become to Marvel what Flash used to be for DC.
Right? Jesus Christ. You're right. I mean, it is essentially that. I know that movie's getting delayed yet again, and then I've been worried about it ever since they announced it because I'm like, all right, you guys have to go R-rated, and you have to.
The first Blade is really good.
Yeah,
I mean, the fact that Deadpool 3 is going to be R-rated. I mean, there's some hope, but.
Well, another point I also bring up, this is my sticking point with Blade, is there was that rumor, I would imagine there was at least some truth to this, about commercial, at least dissatisfaction with the script. Yeah, there was the rumor that the script initially only had like 2 action scenes and they were lackluster ones. And I look at that like, did you not watch forget Blade Trinity. Did you not watch the first 2?
But even Blade Trinity had some good action sequences.
Oh, I couldn't finish Blade Trinity. It wasn't good.
Blade Trinity tried some things. That was David Gore going, "Hey, I'm going to try to direct," and maybe he realized that's not my strong suit. I mean, the only thing that what I always say about Blade Trinity is it gave us an audition for Ryan Reynolds to be Deadpool.
Yeah.
So I found Ryan Reynolds to be really annoying in that movie.
Really?
Yes, I just
Wow.
found him really annoying.
I thought to me it was just like he's just playing Deadpool already right here. I mean,
Pretty much.
I mean, he plays this. I mean, he's playing Deadpool in pretty much every movie.
You didn't play that.
Yeah.
it's funny because Ryan Reynolds to me, it's like I've liked him since he was on that sitcom Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place. That kid that was out in like the late '90s, but I always like him. But I mean, I get when people go, he plays the same character. I'm like, yeah, but at least that character is likable. In that. But then when he does do the drama, he can really pull out a good performance. Like if you watch the movie Buried or even the Amityville Horror remake, I'm like, holy fuck! Like he can get serious, and there's like he has range, but he mainly stays in that jokey, sarcastic character that he usually is.
Did any of you see that sci-fi movie where it's him and him as a kid, where he comes?
The Adam Project. Great movie. I love that
was
movie.
great.
I thought it was great.
Yeah.
And Free Guy, that was something that Disney wanted to burn off, and it actually became a pretty good hit for him. It was a Fox movie. It was sitting on the shelf for like a year, wasn't it?
I did not enjoy.
I enjoyed
That movie was just a celebration of himself.
Oh wow! Okay, so Axel is not a fan of Ryan Reynolds. Apparently,
I used to be, but like he just does the
So,
same.
so Axel, tell me, what did you think of that rumor that Zach was going to bring him back as Green Lantern?
I thought that would have been a cool idea. He was not bad as Green Lantern.
no, he was.
Bad.
He was not bad. It was just it was a terrible script, and Mr. Jeff Johns, that was his first attempt at trying to do live action.
Script,
after
terrible
that,
production, and uninterested director.
yeah, and after that, after how badly written that movie was, how could DC trust him with another movie after that?
Right.
Because he wrote comics.
Wow.
It's an interesting thing, but I know when Zach was like, I remember that too. It was funny because I actually, I was told that Zach was like, if he were gonna have a Hal Jordan Green Lantern, he would always consider like Ryan Reynolds to be like that. And then it was funny because when that got put out there, and I remember he talking about that, and then of course Garza really amplified it at that one point.
Garza was treating like it was gospel that he was cast.
Yeah, it was like he was going like full on. He'll come back, and then of course when Zach finally like admitted that during an interview, it's just kind of funny because. Whoa, that was a fun day of like, wow, yeah, guys, yeah, we've been talking about this.
It all originated from that whole thing. I remember on Twitter the whole chatter about that originated from Grace.
Yeah, Grace.
Yeah.
But another thing too, before the Full Circle event, because there was a lot of chatter back and forth about Zach getting the green light for the event from WB, and there was some consternation about that. I remember part of that I would imagine stemmed from something she had said where the idea was that Zach was basically, it was an event where he was going to basically call off the dogs as far as like, okay, guys, it's a fun ride, but I'm kind of done with DC and did the opposite of that.
And I got so upset with anybody that was trying to do any kind of like, Zach's going to do this or Zach, they're trying to scoop this or this is who's going to show up. I was like, you guys shut up. It's like, this is a fan celebration charity event. You guys are trying to scoop this and trying to say like something is going to happen. And we saw that there were people that were saying like certain people were going to show up and they didn't because they were full on lying. We had somebody said that Zach was going to announce like some big announcement. That was a lie. And then of course, Grace even saying like, oh yeah, he's going to just like put the kibosh on all the stuff. Like, what are you thinking? You think Zach's going to have this event celebrating with his fans and he's going to be like, all right, guys, no more Snyderverse talk. We're done. No more hashtags. Stop talking. It's like, get the fuck out of here. The guy is not going to do that. I mean, you gotta
Seriously.
realize this guy is such a nerd when it comes to this stuff.
But he
And,
said-
and,
but he
and
signed a
I've talked to him.
protocol
I've talked to him personally. I've talked to him publicly. And the fact of the matter is like
Yeah, I'm definitely not
he is just a big dork and a big nerd about all this kind of stuff. And he doesn't want to discourage fans. He doesn't want to do anything like that. And anybody like who thinks he's just gonna come out and flat out dismiss things or just like give like 100% that's it. It's like, no, that's not his style. He likes to tease. He likes to keep the conversation going. He likes to plant Easter eggs. He likes to do all that kind of stuff. It's like, stop trying to do all this. It just pisses me off.
I mean, as far as he's concerned, there's always possibilities. I mean, it's not likely right now, but hey, he's open to the possibility because there are always possibilities.
Well, it's all
Because
about,
for all he knows, the moment that Matt Reeves is done with his Batman universe, Gunn may call him up. Who knows?
it's all got to be about just the right circumstances. Because I made the point I would never ask them to go back through the hell they went through the JL reshoot. So it's all got to be about under the right circumstances with a studio that's not trying to actively screw him, with the worst moment of his life, and then you take you put that into the equation, and it's like if the opportunity came along, I don't doubt for a second Zack would absolutely love to do that.
And the fact of the matter is like you have somebody that he considers a buddy who said that, and that's what I was trying to emphasize too when it came to when he was on the Vox stream, and then I made that clip that some of those people were like, "Oh my god, it's edited! Like, look at how he did." I'm like, no, you guys got to realize that it is so much a good thing that Zack would consider James Gunn a buddy, regardless of how you feel about him. Is if you want more Snyderverse, it's a fucking awesome thing that Zack Snyder considers him a buddy, because if he were to come back and try to do something in that space again, I think Zack would be more welcome to it, because now he's got somebody that he knows and who's talked to and is a friend, and not a bunch of suits that are going to fucking start saying, no, you got to do this, you got to do that. You got James Gunn probably going like, let's talk, and they collaborate, and then they could maybe even do something. Maybe it won't be the same thing that we at once was, but maybe something in the future could happen. I'm like, so why this full-on hate and wanting to fire James Gunn when that is actually a good thing that he's in there if you want more Snyderverse? It's so baffles me.
The thing I was kind of a little bit let down of that nobody asked him about at Full Circle was I would have loved to hear somebody like ask him on camera what was his thought on Project Comic or Project Justice League.
Oh yeah, I should have asked him that. Damn, yeah.
Because I bet he would. I bet he absolutely.
Oh, I'm sure he's seen it.
I think I remember like Nicotina saying that one of the TPZ guys showed him Project
he's
Justice
seen
League.
it. He's definitely seen it.
Yeah.
He's definitely seen it, but yeah, it would be cool to get it like the next time. I mean, the next time I can have him on, but I don't know when that's going to be, or if that's just going to be strictly Rebel
Those
Moon.
guys really hit it out the park with that.
Yeah, oh yeah, they totally did, and I'm sure Zack was big time impressed. But I know like Zack liked those guys' tweets, and I think maybe even commented. I don't know, who knows? But I'm pretty sure that Zack has seen that whole thing. And like I said, there's TPC guys that were very much involved in that project. So yeah, you better believe that he was like 100% all about it. I mean, and that was I remember I even when I talked about it, I said, hey, I mean, Zack on the Vodka stream said that the closest thing you're going to get to sequels as of right now is those storyboards. So the fact that those guys brought the storyboards to life.
Yeah.
So you better believe that he was all about it.
Except they did cut me out. Yeah.
They cut you out?
Yeah, they cut me out as Robin. I was going to voice him in a flashback, and they said, no, we don't know what to do. And I'm like,
oh, you got the axe? I didn't know that.
I got Batgirled.
Hey,
Oh, man.
Zack should call you up to be the Robin to get killed in the flashback thing he's going to do.
See? And the fact that, again, going back to that, it's like, I mean, is there something? I mean, Jim Lee and Zack Snyder have a good relationship. So I'm like, and he just became the president of DC Comics. So I'm just kind of going like, is this story going to eventually? And how would you not think that's not a good idea to continue Snyderverse stories, spinoffs? you know,
Yeah.
expand the world, even if it's not full on Zack's vision, but people can just like expand
Personally-
on the Snyderverse. How could you not think that that's not, when it comes to selling books, that's not a good idea to sell Snyderverse
much-
books?
Look
Personally,
how much
I
traction they've
want
gotten from Injustice.
Yeah.
Like they've made a whole line out of a video game that's been incredible. I just want to say,
I think
like,
it's coming. I
Yeah.
honestly think it's coming. I think there's something that's coming.
Wow.
That's why he was
That'd
reluctant.
be cool, but personally, I
think-
want to see it based on not on the storyboards that we saw, but on the storyboards that he has kept secret, which are his current vision.
Yeah, I think one of the
Also-
best things to come out of SnyderCon is that we got a more realistic, like, moderating hashtag. It's like Zack Snyder's Justice League in IMAX. Like that is
Yeah.
a realistic, awesome goal. Like that's something that maybe somebody at
I want to see them
WB would be
premiere
down
so
for.
bad.
It's like, oh, they could do charity and they could bide some time before James Gunn kicks in with his full universe. I mean, 2024 is pretty wide open except for Waller and Creature Commandos, right?
Yeah.
So, like, why not throw Zack Snyder's Justice League in a limited release and see it and just to, gen that up and do that while the comic book comes out? That would be
Even just something
freaking
like
awesome.
what Dead had, or what Rebel Moon is going to have theatrically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's gonna.
No, I
It's
mean,
gonna
like
be
when
big.
it was kind of funny because that, I mean, I said how I was talking to one of the TPZ guys and he was just like, yeah, one of the things we should have really campaigned for right after the Snyder Cut came out was just to release in IMAX. And I was like, yeah, you're right, we should have done that. And after seeing it in IMAX, I was just like, Jesus Christ, yeah, I know. It's just like, is it too late, or can we try to make some noise with that? I mean, obviously, like there's hashtag after hashtag, there's campaign after campaign, but yeah, like you said, it's realistic because, if the Fathom wants to do events or if people want to host events, I mean, obviously it's not going to be like every IMAX is just going to have it, but I mean, and then of course, who knows if Warner Brothers Discovery would back up that whole thing because it would cost too much money and maybe wouldn't get a profit.
Well,
But,
honestly, with that last thing, I mean, there have been re-screenings of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, so it's not like it's unlikely.
it's not.
I wasn't able to make it full circle, but I've heard like Scott and other people say like Darkseid is really something to see in IMAX.
Dude, all of it is. I mean, like every bit of it. I mean, you just see things you have not seen on your TV. Like you just like the background. It's insane, just how larger than life this is. And I remember even like the Corridor Crew guys when they were talking about Zack Snyder's Justice League, and they were talking about the aspect ratio, saying that is a great choice because it just makes all these characters seem so much larger than life than normal, the normal aspect ratio. And yeah, you could see that when it's on your TV, but man, when you see it on a fucking 3-story screen, it's just insane, like how goddamn good it looks. Like it's you guys, I know, I wish you guys could all seen it, and hopefully maybe sometime we can do that, but I think that's what that hashtag was about. And one of the TPZ guys was just like, well, let's just fucking do it. Zack would totally be behind this, so that's why we just started kind of pushing it. But who knows what can happen.
Imagine if he did that. He got an IMAX release, and then the credits roll. And at the end of the credits, you get a little caption that says, "The Justice League will return."
Yeah, that would be something. Hey, I mean, like, the Justice, this Justice League will return in the future, or something like that. It's like, what? What does that mean? I mean, I'm telling you. I mean, I'm really hoping that James Gunn is just like, okay, we got this multiverse concept that we could just really do with this, and he knows his comic books. He knows his comic books, and that's the good thing about James Gunn and having him at the helm and doing all this, that he knows his comic books. So he knows that, yeah, you can touch on a lot of this crazy stuff. So, and Zack and him, he and Zack have talked. So,
yeah, and I've said this several times in the stream. Once Matt Reeves is done with his Batman films, I mean, that will free them up a bit as far as budget is concerned. Who knows what the next Elseworlds could be?
Yeah, but that's going to be not for a while though. But
not for a while, but we got time.
Yeah, it's time. I don't know. It's
If
just gonna be
de-aging technology will be at that point, will look pretty good.
it's just
But,
gonna
I
be
think
interesting.
also, it's like the response to the Flash with Ben
Yeah,
Affleck
that too.
and the Snyderverse characters and elements. That'll probably tell you something about whether is this something that they would elect to capitalize on via an Elseworlds label or something like that.
Absolutely.
And
But,
also,
Okay.
let's say if the Zack Snyder's Justice League does really well in this IMAX re-release project, and obviously one of the big things to come out of that is Darkseid. And of course, in the comics, that since Darkseid is outside of the multiverse, that would certainly help. Who knows? Maybe Ray Porter will remain.
I hope so.
I mean, again, it's like I mean, obviously, anytime they want and studios always want a name that's behind these big. Look what happened with Thanos. They wanted to like, hey, we can get somebody. I mean, and for the most part, it worked. Josh Brolin was great, but when it comes to like, I mean, Zach just has an eye for who cares how popular his person is. That's who I want right there.
Like, I will always go back to Hugh Jackman. Nobody knew who he was before he did Wolverine.
Yeah.
Now he's one of the biggest stars ever.
Oh yeah.
So
That's
much
what Zach does.
they can't
Zach
work
creates
without
big
him.
stars.
Yeah.
Zach. I mean, Ben Affleck. When he comes to the Justice League lineup, Ben Affleck was the only known name when he was cast as Batman. Was the known person. Henry Cavill, when he was cast as Superman, nobody knew who the fuck that was. Gal
Exactly.
Gadot, some people knew because of Fast and Furious and whatever, but that's about it. And then nobody knew who anybody else was. And now Jason Momoa is now a superstar. And
Zach?
he even says that Zach saved his career. And even Gal Gadot was going to give up acting before she got cast as Wonder Woman.
Same with
by
Harry
him.
Lennox.
Yeah, Harry Lennox was all. Yeah, exactly. He said that
Yeah.
too.
I
Before he
knew
got cast as
Jason-
Wonder Woman.
I knew Jason because through the Conan movie he had done a few years prior.
Yeah.
It's mainly how I was familiar with him. And he's actually he's spoken very disparagingly about that. But I thought it was pretty good.
You actually like that movie?
Yeah.
I didn't really like it that much.
We all have our guilty pleasures.
Of course, it's fine. No, I'm not saying like you're wrong. I'm just saying I try to rewatch it probably like last year sometime, and I'm like, yeah, this movie, like, who knows what they were trying to go for with this. Just
I
to me,
mean,
it just didn't hit.
we've all been in projects we regret. I mean, Harry Lennox was recently in a Hallmark Christmas movie, so
Nothing wrong with that. Those are popular.
yeah. Ugh.
No, but I mean, like, yeah, when it comes to all like this week, BVS and like I said, it was kind of a slow week. So they, articles came out just trying to picking apart Full Circle stuff, and they decided to go with that one because they knew it'd be controversial. They knew like these articles, like these the blogs knew that it was going to have engagement, and sure enough, it created the discourse again, which it's just the way it is.
And I felt
Nothing wrong.
like Rebecca kind of got a little bit thrown under the bus with like how she was not
totally
really-
did. That's why I
Exactly.
wanted to bring her on. I was like,
I'm so glad you did. Yeah.
yeah. I was like, I hit her up and I was like, they didn't even like source you, and they said it was the Q&A, and then she was like, yeah, and one of them said I was a moderator, and I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, they totally just like, it was like literally just the commentary, and you didn't even ask the question, you just brought up layers, and then he brought up the reception to those layers, and that's about it. But they made it sound like it was the Q&A and it was a question about layers, and then he answered it, and it was just so ridiculous. And I was like, I couldn't believe that they didn't source her. That's why I was like, because I had another guest actually planned for Friday, but she had to reschedule, so it actually worked out, because then I was like, hey, come on as my guest and let's like talk about this whole thing. And not to mention, let's talk about, how you got into this stuff. And I thought it actually worked out perfectly. But I was glad to get her on to just kind of, because she has picked apart the movie because she loves it so much, and picked apart reviews and everything. It was great.
But
the stuff she was doing on YouTube back when BBS was originally out, I mean, that was like, it felt like I found like it was like the end of BBS, like help me find the others like you.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Find the other metahumans out there that love this movie.
Yeah. But, yeah. By the way, speaking of who you want to have on, like you said, you wanted to have Christina Wren on, but sadly that fell through. But it's like I am eager to see what to see her on, to see how that, because that'll certainly be interesting.
And we'll see what happens when it comes to that. But
Yeah.
but anyways,
Okay.
I think we should probably wrap this up.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
almost at 2.5
I
hours.
got a video to show you guys after the stream.
Okay.
Oh.
Interesting. Oh,
By
so
the way,
that-
Axel, a lot of the artwork you've been doing is pretty awesome, man. So I did want to commend you about that.
Thank you. It means a lot. Thank you.
Yeah.
good stuff. Good stuff. Do you want to show it on here, or do you want to show it back?
I think I'll show it backstage.
Okay. Just
Well,
making sure.
But in the meantime, like while we prepare for like when Christina Wren will be able to show up, I'm just like I told Fear Jason this before. I told him this before, but it's like, look, with all that great fan art that you do, sooner or later you like in preparation for Christina Wren showing up, you got to do something with her as a Star Sapphire.
Yeah, maybe he will. That'll be cool. And
How cool
yeah,
would
it'd
that
be
be,
good.
like restore the Snyderverse that she's there in the final battle of Star Sapphire.
She probably. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if like Zach would have just had that in there. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing too. Is like, and I don't think like it's been really. I don't know if Zach has ever asked the question about like, did he have thoughts of where he was going to take that character to that point, or was because
Some
obviously
people
with
have
movies-
theorized. Some people have theorized that she could be Miss Martian. I'm like, no.
No.
She already established. Like you look at the credits. She's Carol Ferris. She's Star Sapphire.
Her name is actually Carrie Ferris, which is a sort of different name, but
Same diff.
you know.
Carrie can be short for Carol easily.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I don't know if Zach's ever really answered the fact that that's what I would actually want.
Someone
to
asked a Hal Jordan question at the Full Circle, and they didn't answer.
Which Hal Jordan question?
I don't know. Someone mentioned Hal Jordan at Full Circle.
I'm trying to remember when.
Were
Oh,
you even
no. Yeah, I was there, but I don't remember that.
Okay.
If we're talking about missed
Armin-
questions, I'm just disappointed nobody asked Charlie Hunnam, will it be?
Right?
and Dave, you still got to ask that question about was his green hood inspired by?
Yes.
by that.
And,
Yeah.
and
that's
hopefully the
fucking
next
awesome.
time that he comes on, which will probably be like when that first Rebel Moon trailer comes out, hopefully we can get on. I do want to be like, hey, what the hell? And like, what was happening when it? I mean, because we know that he knows about that Charlie Hunnam. Will it be?
Well, yeah, the guy drove him insane with that.
Yeah. So,
But,
like,
but the fact that he cast, not only did he cast Charlie Hunnam, but I'm pretty sure that outfit, or at least the lighting of the outfit, made it look green.
yes. So
Can you
it is
imagine? Do
interesting
you
to
think
have.
Zach would be so on the nose as to have Charlie Hunnam use a bow and arrow in Rebel Moon?
That'd be hilarious.
Maybe a
That would be
goatee.
great.
No.
Oh man, I would love it. But anyways, guys, let's go ahead and wrap this up, and we'll go around the horn. Thank you guys, as always, for helping support the channel and everything. Really appreciate it, and I always like talking with you guys. And let's go around. Eric, go ahead.
Well, you can find me on YouTube, Hardboiled Entertainment. You can find me on Twitter, Hardboiled Films. There may be some stuff to come, which I hope you will enjoy. Right? Not just this guy.
Okay, Axel.
You can find me at Droga52 on YouTube, and on Twitter you can find me via Axel R. Droga.
There we go. Doug.
At Doug Verby on Twitter, but kind of laying low. Thanks, Dave.
Yeah, no problem. Always good to talk to you. And then Brad.
You can find me Brad Curran on Twitter and Vero, kind of my main spots. You can also find my writing on a Screen Rant and also another site called Kung Fu Kingdom, which is pretty much what it sounds like, all about martial arts, kung fu, that kind of thing. And I've written quite extensively about the Snyder Cut on every journalistic outlet I've had. So you can find all my work in there, and those are probably the best social media places to find me.
Awesome.
Yep.
All right, and then of course, thank you to who was here before.
RJ,
Phil.
RJ, of course, and then who else
Phil.
was here?
Phil.
Phil. Jesus Christ,
Phil.
man,
Phil.
I totally just
It's
like
not
my
even the
brain was
vodka
like-
strain. Jesus.
I know that's the
Sorry,
thing.
forget
I'm like, who was here? Scott? No, that was last night. I'm like, totally just But yeah, thank you to Phil. Thank you to RJ for joining, and thank you to everybody. And like I said, if you want to, take part in this and have some conversations and everything, the Patreon's right there. Like I said, I try to give some exclusive content on there as much as possible, exclusive podcasts and some information when I hear it. So that's what I do right there. But anyways, guys, love ya, and we'll talk to you later.